Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jill Osborne. I am the president and founder of the Interstitial Cystitis Network. It is Sunday, December 20th. My leg is killing me right now, so we'll see how long I last. Hold on a sec, gotta get my computer all together. One sec. Is that right? Does that look good? Hi, Cindy. Nice to see you. Hello, YouTube. All right, you guys. So we are simulcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. If y'all didn't see me last weekend, it's because I hurt my freaking leg. Donna, oh, Donna, did you get my email, hun? Girl, oh, thank you so much. Oh my God. Oh my God. Here, guys, hold on a sec. I got to show you something. Hold on. All right, now listen. Y'all know that I'm a very colorful woman. I like lots of color in my life. And my dear friend and IC sister Donna surprised me. Look at this, you guys. Look at what she made for me. Is this not the most beautiful thing the beautiful shawl you have ever seen? Oh, Donna. Thank you so much. Thank you. Here, hold on. You guys, I'm kind of walking wounded today. Here. Okay, hold on. I have to be able to sit though. So where has Jill Osborne been? Well, let's see. I did 5 hours in the emergency room a week ago because I dislocated my right SI joint. Ended up with an incredible case of sciatica. Had an ambulance ride. My leg was numb. I could not walk. And it is this still numb? Maybe a tiny bit underneath my knee. So if you're wondering why we didn't have a support group meeting last week, it's because last week I was on my couch on mega medication trying to get everything to calm down. And then on Tuesday, I had a double root canal. These are fake front teeth. And that went bad. It's like 2020, the year that keeps on giving. But then you're not going to believe it, but I got 4 numbers and the prime number in the lotto. I won $1,500 this week. So the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. What a crazy year. What a crazy week this has been for me. And so I apologize that I could not do a support group meeting last weekend. I don't know how long we'll do it this week. My right leg is just really, I've got one of our IC friendly heating pads. For those of you looking for the perfect heating pad, if you got pelvic pain, this is it. Okay. Because look, it will fit right there. But it's a great neck heating pad and it's a great leg heating pad. And so I got this on my right leg right now. So we'll see how long I last. I'm not sure. So anyway, hello, Facebook, and hello, YouTube. My name is Jill Osborne. I am the president and founder of the Interstitial Cystitis Network, the longest serving IC support group leader here in the United States. Close to being in the world. I do think I'm probably now the longest serving support group leader in the world. My purpose in doing these meetings is to make you so strong, so knowledgeable, so informed that no one can ever mess with you again. I want you to be able to walk into your holiday gathering well, okay, except we're not walking into holiday gatherings. Okay, in your Zoom holiday gatherings, when somebody asks you an idiot question like, "You're still in pain? Come on, just drink cranberry juice, it'll go away." It's like, "No, I wanna give you the perfect answer so that no one can mess with you again." This is about your dignity. This is about your self-esteem. This is about building you up, not breaking you down, not breaking you down. And so that's what we do together in these support group meetings. I bring to you 3 college degrees. I've got a degree in chemistry. I've got a degree in pharmacology, which is drug development. And I have a master's degree in psychology. And my website, the IC Network. Oh, look, I got an open door. I hate this. Ah, was my doctoral dissertation proposal on how to bring support to somebody who was homebound. Ironically, I couldn't do it because I couldn't sit in a car for 5 years because my IC was so severe. It hurt too bad to get in a car. Now, ironically, I will tell you at that time, I had a doctor say to me, "You will never get better. You will always live with severe pain. You will always be a burden to your family." And I went, "Wait a second. I will prove you wrong, you son of a bitch. How dare you say that to me? How dare you say that to me?" And he's wrong because really for the last 10 years, my bladder is fine. My severe pelvic pain is long gone. But a lot of that began with subtyping because back when I was diagnosed 27 years ago, we all thought IC was an incurable bladder disease. Now we know it's a chronic pelvic pain syndrome. Why? Because structures outside of the bladder are often involved. So for some of you, like I was working with a patient this week, just really trying to figure out why her symptoms had started. They started after she had a baby. And on so, we immediately, when we look at something like that, we're going to immediately focus on the pelvic floor. If your symptoms began after a fall, a car accident, having a baby, a history of athletics, anything at all like that, we're always going to be looking at the pelvic floor muscles. And that's really one reason why I have sciatica right now is because my pelvic floor muscles are really struggling. I've been sitting a lot this fall. I have been editing a new book on IC. I have been doing our magazine, which is now at the typesetter. Um, I've just been working my ass off, sitting way too long. And when you sit for long periods of time, you mess your pelvic floor up. But you can also mess your pelvic floor up, by falling, car accident, having a baby. And so in my case, the bladder therapies didn't work. Why? Because it really wasn't my bladder, it was my muscles. And for a lot of you, that's the case. But in her case, so our number one suspect might have been the pregnancy, childbirth incident. But then she said something about 20 minutes later. She goes, "But I do have a fibroid tumor." And it's like, oh, wait a second. Fibroid tumors, if they're pushing on your bladder, guess what? That can cause all the symptoms you associate with IC. And then for men, we also, I'm going to say the vast majority of men that I work with, we can find some sort of pelvic trauma. 9 times out of 10, we can find that history of a trauma. We can find a fundamental dysfunction in the way blood is flowing in their pelvis. We call it ischemia, that when you've got really, really tight muscles, it reduces oxygen. It limits blood supply. If you've got pelvic congestion syndrome, for example, pelvic congestion syndrome is varicose veins in your pelvis. And I was reading a study earlier this year, which showed that patients with pelvic congestion syndrome, their bladder's only getting, on average, 9 units of blood, when it's supposed to get 28, either 24 or 28 units of blood. So think about the toll that's going to take. If those tissues are not getting good blood supply, if those tissues are not getting good oxygenation, good nutrition, can your bladder be healthy? No. It's going to be much harder for your bladder to heal. It's going to be much harder for for women, for your vulva, for men and women, your perineum, your rectum. So and again, it was so interesting. I was reading another article probably like 2 months ago where a doctor was just saying flat out, he thinks the vast majority of patients are ischemia patients, that you simply have muscles so tight, the bladder is not getting good blood supply. And that's certainly true for me right now. Because although I gotta say, what's so interesting, so normally my SI dysfunction I feel on my left side. This is the first time my right side has ever acted up, ever. Um, when I do my internal pelvic floor work, though, it's the internal right side of my pelvic floor that is super, super tight. And that just shows you kind of the interesting forces that happen. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So anyway, normally when I do these meetings, I do a 30-minute lecture, and then I usually take your questions for an hour, and then we do a Zoom meeting, maybe, and then we wind it up. We're going to see how long I'm going to last with my leg. I also need to make Christmas bread tonight to get out in the mail tomorrow. So hold on a sec. I want to do some things. I want to do a couple of things with you. Give me a moment. Let me pull up my magazine here. I need to get this article. And there it is. Right. Come on, little article. There you go. And of course, my regular mouse has done a runner. I have to use a different mouse today, if you could see this. Okay. Okay. This is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. So at my last meeting 2 weeks ago, I talked to you guys about the International Pelvic Pain Conference. And at the International Pelvic Pain Conference, it totally blew my mind. It was a 3-weekend virtual conference that I attended in October. Let me tell you, you got to be dedicated to get up at 5 a.m. 3 Saturdays in a row, which I did. Paula says on YouTube, is there a brand of multivitamins I can take without irritation? Yes, Bladder Smart. Hold on. Let me show you. Oh, where is it? You can get these right on our website in our store. Bladder Smart low acid multivitamin. Okay. All right. And again, Facebook, hold on a sec. I want to make sure I can see you guys. Yeah, I can. Here, hold on. Anne says, is blood in the urine a sign of IC? Microscopic blood is a sign of irritation. Visual blood in your urine could be a sign of infection, or it could be a sign of a bleeding Hunner's lesion. If you can see blood, you got to call your doctor. That's just not normal. Cindy, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so let me do this here real quick. Oh, you guys, you have so many good questions. I wanted, oh God. Okay, hold on. I got to go do some questions first, and then I'm going to come back to my content. Sam says, I'm 4 days out from a total vaginal hysterectomy and Botox injections in my bladder. Needless to say, I'm having to self-count the past few days. I'm hoping that the Botox injections help with the urgency. It might, but girl, hun, seriously, you're 4 days out of hysterectomy. You're in post-op recovery hell right now. I've been there. The first 2 weeks after hysterectomy are brutal. And so I hope that you're using the pain medicine that they gave you. I found that by 5 days, like the first day after hysterectomy, I was doing a half a pill every 2 or 3 hours. By the third day, I was doing a half a pill maybe every 4 or 5 hours. By the end of the week, I was doing a half a pill maybe once every 6 hours. So you're there, but understand your pelvic floor is now probably in total spasm. Things are going to be very tight because your body's reacting to the trauma. Your muscles react strongly to trauma. And so the reality here is that you're going to notice it's going to be hard to urinate. You're going to notice it's going to be very hard to have a bowel movement at first if you haven't been there yet. Nobody told me that because you can't push when you're post-op recovery. You just like literally have to sit there and let it happen because there's no such thing as pushing after hysterectomy. It's going to take a good 10 days to 2 weeks for you to be able to really feel that. There's a fabulous website called hystersisters.com. That's a sister website to the IC network. Go on over there and take a look at what they've got to say about that too. Okay. But oh, girl, listen, you had that 10 days before Christmas. Power to you. It's a great time to have it for recovery, but you got to be really gentle on yourself. Okay, you got to be super, super, super gentle. I mean, they're not lying when they say you can't lift anything for at least 3 months because those stitches in there are 3 month stitches. So you're going to have raw stitches in there for a long time. So follow those instructions and check out History Sisters. Okay, it's wonderful. And if you want to talk, feel free to call me this week. I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit about that. CM says, right now my bladder pelvic pain's terrible. Jana says, do you think IC can be influenced by mental states such as stress, tension, panic, obsession? Yes, and that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my little mini lecture, and we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So again, International Pelvic Pain Society meeting was fantastic this year. And it was really all about why do patients have overlapping conditions, because we have, quite a few of us have IC and then irritable bowel and then vulvodynia and then all that sort of stuff. And hold on, I just get a message. Okay, I want to make sure my sound was working. So the question is why? Why does that happen? Why does an endometriosis patient in her 20s end up with urinary problems in her 30s and bowel problems in her 40s? Why does that happen? Now, and this has really been one of the mysteries of IC. I mean, it's like when we do our subtyping, we clearly know that for some people, IC begins after trauma, physical trauma. For other people, IC begins after chemical injury like chemotherapy. But what about the patient who gets other related conditions? What the hell is that all about? Now, you all know we've been talking about central sensitization. IC subtype 5 central sensitization. What that means is we got super sensitive skin, super sensitive skin. We have a wicked sense of smell. We can smell things that other people can't smell, and smells drive us crazy. We tend to be very chemically sensitive, drug sensitive. We can't take a normal dose of a med. We have to take a quarter dose or a pediatric dose of medications. Why? Because our nervous system is sensitive. But what is that all about? It's like, why is it sensitive? Well, for some of us, there's genetics. There's genetics. I mean, I'm a redhead. Hello, I'm going to be more sensitive. But what the International Pelvic Pain Society talked about in depth was trauma to the nervous system. And that trauma often happens when you're younger. So, if, for example, we had one research study. It was interesting. It was one research study that was presented in the American Medical Association that showed that if a boy jammed his crotch on the bar of his bicycle, even once as a kid badly, by the time he'd be in his 30s, he'd probably have frequency urgency from that original injury. And a hell of a lot of you guys have tailbone injuries, right? It's fascinating. I had a bad tailbone injury when I was a kid, but I'm also a redhead. So it's like, all right, go figure. So what they started doing is all of these chronic overlapping pain conditions, nonprofits got together and they created the Chronic Pain Research Alliance. And they've been trying to solve this mystery for about 15 years. It's fascinating. And one of the things they started doing was brain scans. And what they noticed is that somebody with chronic overlapping pain conditions has a brain that is functioning differently. And then our own map research network. Now, guys, there's a good end to this. You don't need to be don't be afraid about anything I'm saying here. This is fascinating to me. And then our own National Institutes of Health Map Research Network started doing their own brain scans. And they found the same thing. They found that for some of us, our brains were functioning like we were in constant fight or flight. So I want to give you, so I need to give you a little lesson here for just a little lesson in anatomy. So you have a central nervous system and you've got a peripheral nervous system. Your central nervous system is your brain and your spinal cord. Your peripheral nervous system is, the periphery, the nerves in your arms and your legs and your feet. And obviously the nerves, let's say you put your hand on something hot, that message is sent via nociceptors up your arm to your spinal cord, to your lower brain, then your midbrain and your upper brain. And instantaneously your brain goes boom, and it tells you move your hand away. There are two other important functions of your nervous system. When you are threatened, your body is hardwired, your brain is hardwired to protect you. And so your sympathetic nervous system turns on. So go back 5,000 years. Think about 5,000 years ago when fight or flight was really, really important. And you saw a saber-toothed tiger a quarter mile away walking towards you. Your brain would go, holy hell, you would freeze. Your sympathetic nervous system would turn on. Your heart rate would increase. Your blood pressure would increase. Your muscles would get tense to prepare you to either fight for your life or run. That's called fight or flight. So when you are under stress, your sympathetic nervous system turns on. Bam! It thinks your life is at stake. And then when the saber-toothed tiger turns around and walks away and you've taken a couple of breaths, your sympathetic nervous system calms down and your parasympathetic system turns on. And your parasympathetic nervous system calms everything down. It drops your blood pressure, it drops your heart rate. And normally we're living with our parasympathetic nervous system. So fight or flight makes sense, right? Fight or flight, it's like, yeah, man, if I'm in the middle of a street, when I was a kid, for example, I almost got hit by a car, and you see something coming to you, your fight or flight, your brain's responsible for protecting you. And it is going to turn on that sympathetic nervous system and get you moving. And then it's going to turn it off. But here's what they found, is that for some of us, your sympathetic nervous system is not turning off, that you are living in a constant state of fight or flight. I'm not saying this is a mental illness. In no way are we saying this is a mental illness in any way, shape, or form. What we're saying is that the nerves have become habituated in fight or flight. Now, what's one of the classic symptoms of somebody in constant fight or flight? Fear, anxiety. How many of you have anxiety? A ton of you have anxiety. And one of the reasons why you might have anxiety is because your sympathetic nervous system is stuck in the on position. It's really fascinating. When the first brain scans came out, I didn't talk about it a lot. It's like, I didn't, number one, I didn't really want to scare people with it. And number two, I didn't really understand it. Now I totally understand it. That there's a specific part of your brain called the amygdala, which drives the sympathetic nervous system. And what those brain scans show in patients with chronic overlapping pain conditions, including IC and IBS, is your brain is stuck in the stress response, in the fight or flight response. Fascinating. But guess what? We can turn it off. We can turn it off. This is about reminding your brain that there are other things it's supposed to be doing. You know, if you've ever flown over a thunderstorm in a jet, it's beautiful. I remember I was flying back from New York when I was a kid, and we flew over this massive long thunderstorm, and you're looking out the window and it's like there and then there and then there and then there and then there, and oh, it's just so beautiful. And that's how the brain reacts. That's how the brain functions. It's not like a straight line that goes from here to here. When you have pain, your brain processes it in many, many different ways, but basically your brain adds context, especially your midbrain adds context. So your brain's going through all your memories, it's trying to figure out what this pain is. And so you see lots of different areas of the brain lighting up. It's just fascinating. And in those brain scans, what they see is that the fight or flight is lighting up over and over and over and over and over again. Your brain is behaving like it is stuck in fight or flight. So how do we do it? How do we turn it off? And it's proven in research, great research studies from Harvard Medical School. We can turn this off. And they can turn it off for patients with PTSD. A lot of these are done with PTSD guys. Hello, Kat. You're new here. Welcome. So we're going to do a couple of exercises to try to turn off the fight or flight and turn on calmer brain functioning. And just to kind of give you context, I want you to think about something for a moment. So in the pediatric risk factors, why does this happen to certain people? What they consistently found is the year before it began, there was some sort of physical trauma, a broken leg, whatever. And the pain from that broken leg, especially with children where doctors often don't believe that children experience pain, the longer you're in pain, your fight or flight is way, way, way up there. And again, it kind of gets stuck there. But for other people, for other kids, it can be the result of bullying. Think about it. Think about it. We had a terrible bully who became a rapist and murderer in my school. And imagine walking to school every day and not knowing if you were going to be hit. Or imagine if you were abused at home. Or imagine if every time you went to work, because bullying happens at any age, if you got a terrible bully at work and every single time you walk into the office and you're on guard, man, you're like, where the hell is he? I'm staying away. Your brain is constantly in fight or flight. And so, context matters here. Context matters. For a lot of you, there's a physical trauma, but for some of you, there is also a trauma of being victimized in some way. And so now we understand that research too, why quite a few patients have a history of abuse. We understand that. All right. So let's talk about how do we wind down our nervous system. That's what we're going to do a couple exercises. Okay. Okay. So the first one, you got to take your shoes off. I'm taking my shoes off. Take your shoes off right now. Socks are off. Oh, okay. I have a bad leg. It hurts. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, what I should do is, maybe I should stand for this. Hold on. I'm raising my desk. Hold on a sec. Oh, never look at you from low. Okay. All right. Shoot. Can you see me? Okay. All right. Stand up. First thing I want you to do is so this is reflexercise. This will directly calm the vagal nerve. It's simple to do and basically remind your body through your position to leave fight or flight. So stand up, everybody. First thing I want you to do is I want you to curl your toes into the ground like you're gripping the surface. You're not running. We're telling the brain, man, you're not running. You're standing your ground. You are anchored, right? Okay. Now, I want you to open your arms to the side like this, right? Put your arms like this and have your hands facing forward. So you're not clenched, you're relaxed and open. So if you were under stress, you'd be doing this, right? We're doing exactly the opposite. We are relaxed and open. Now, turn your head to the left and to the right, loosening your neck a couple of times. Okay. Close your eyes. Put your tongue between your teeth. Now take 3 deep breaths. In, out. In, out. In, out. Now, think about something that you love. Okay. So, what that does is you are intentionally holding your body posture in the opposite way that would happen with fight or flight. We can shift and neutralize the anxiety and trauma response in the moment that it happens. So if during the holidays somebody gets in your face, now I don't think you need to take any shit from anybody. You have the right to walk away, but it's going to amp you up. Turn around, walk into another room, walk into the bathroom, and do this. Curl your toes into the ground because we're not running, we're standing our ground. Open your hands forward because we're not fighting. We're not fighting. We are open and receptive. Turn your head from right to left, to right, to left. Close your eyes. Put your tongue between your teeth and take 3 deep breaths. The oxygen is important here because oxygen renders adrenaline chemically neutral. And that's important. Adrenaline will drive pain, the anxiety response. And the more anxious you are, the more stressed you are, the worse your pain is going to be. Pain that is accompanied by anxiety will be intensified by the brain. Pain that is accompanied by laughter will be minimized by the brain. So what we're trying to do is reduce the overall level of anxiety, the overall level of adrenaline, so that we can get the brain to interpret the pain less, if that makes sense. All right. Now, there's a TED Talk. This is really interesting. We're going to do the power pose next. There's a TED Talk by somebody named Amy Cuddy, Cuddy. And they were studying body posture, because man, if somebody walks into a meeting and, man, they're all macho, man, I am ready, I'm going to kick your ass, whatever, they're going to be dominant. And when you walk in like that, man, your testosterone rises. A woman, your testosterone rises. As a man, your testosterone rises. Think about John Travolta, the old Saturday Night Live strutting, right? But if you walk into a meeting like this and your head is down and you're barely looking up and you're barely looking up, your body chemistry is different and you're going to be more passive. and you're going to be more vulnerable. It's going to be easier for somebody to walk over you. So what they did in this research study is they were measuring what happens to the brain with body position. And they proved that body position will change brain function. So, and it's just fascinating research. You can go over to TED Talk, Amy Cuddy, but they talk it's the Wonder Woman pose. The Wonder Woman pose. So stand tall, legs spread, chin up, arms on your hips. Man, you are forced to be reckoned with right now. Stand as tall as you can. Make yourself as big as you can. Man, be a bitch in the best possible way. You gonna mess with me today? Oh, hell no, you're not gonna mess with me today. You know why? Because when I stand like this, my testosterone goes up. And so what they found is even if you felt insecure, even if you felt powerless, if you adapted this body position, your testosterone still rose and your brain still responded. So body position matters, guys. So think about as you are in your daily life, are you huddled in like this? Even, hey man, listen, even if you're in pain, I understand being in the fetal position. I understand you needing to do this. I get that. I was doing that in the emergency room a week ago. Okay. But when you can, stand up straight. You've done nothing wrong. None of this is your fault. There is no shame. There is no blame. You're hurt. And some of you got hurt when you were really young. But the brain is very, very teachable. And the research proves it. Okay, so the power pose. Be tough. Be a bitch in the best possible way. Okay? Let's go to the next one. I love these. Okay. Now again, what we're trying to do is calm the nervous system down. We are trying to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, trying to turn off the sympathetic nervous system. And remember that, let's see, your brain is responsible for interpreting everything around you. It interprets what you look at, it interprets what you smell, it interprets what you touch, it interprets what touches you. So we're going to try something called tapping. Tapping. And the research in this is the go-to. Tapping was found to be one of the most successful ways at calming the nervous system and calming stress and reducing the overall anxiety level and stress level and pain level for patients with chronic overlapping pain conditions like IC and IBS. So this is called tapping, also known as EFT. Dr. Millspaugh, who's a speaker, swears by the use of EFT, a form of psychological acupressure that actually helps turn off the stress response in the amygdala. EFT uses finger tapping at meridian points to balance energy by sending signals to the part of the brain that controls stress. It can and should be used when you're feeling anxious, stressed, or would like to address a specific issue. It's been studied with veterans struggling with PTSD within 1 month. Let's see, with PTSD, and within 1 month, these patients have significantly reduced their stress, and some no longer struggle with PTSD. 85% of PTSD remains in remission for 30 minutes after EFT in one study. And of course, they've also found that it significantly reduces anxiety because we are activating different parts of the brain. So, generally what they want you to do first is they want you to think about an issue that you're struggling with. So I'm going to say, so what pain or fear would you like to work with? Let's just, so for me, I'm going to work on my leg pain because I have a lot of leg pain today. Y'all can work on your bladder pain. So we have to identify the issue. We want to work on this thing, and that's going to be your focus. And I also need you to pick a phrase. So even though I have leg pain, it was not my fault, and I am worthy. Something like that. Even though I have bladder pain, even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. You just something like that. Okay? So I got to think about, what do I want to say? I want to say, even though I have leg pain and it annoys the freaking hell out of me, I know that I'm a good person and I've done nothing wrong. Okay, that's what I'm going to say to myself. Okay, so with tapping, we're going to move. It take 5 minutes, super easy. We're going to touch different parts of our body in a very specific way. And the first place you're going to touch it is your karate chop, right here. So I want you to tap right there 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and let's repeat it. Even though I have bladder pain, I have done nothing wrong, and I completely love and accept myself. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have bladder pain, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have bladder pain, I love and completely accept myself. Okay, and we're going to do it right here. Right where your eyebrows start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Okay, now you're going to go to the side, the bone on the side of your eyes, not your temples. There's a bone right there, like your outer orbital. Okay, that's what we're going to do next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I'm going to completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Okay? And we're going to go under the eye, on your cheekbone. Now remember, guys, for those of you who just came in, what we're doing is we're deliberately trying to turn the amygdala off in the brain to reduce pain. Okay, so here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. All right, now we're going to go under the nose. One hand. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I can't do that because I have temporary caps. I feel that. Okay, so you can do it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Okay. Now we're going to go. Hold on. We're going to go. See where your collarbones start right here? Go an inch down and an inch to the right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Now you're going to go under your arm at your bra line. Oh, thank you, Dad. Thank you. You just brought me some cornbread. Okay. We're going to go bra line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. You can do both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Did I do that 3 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. And then the last is top of your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even though I have IC, I completely love and accept myself. Okay, now some people are going to go, what the hell is she doing? I'm not interested in any of this psychological bullshit. Understand that your brain is interpreting every tap. So when you tap here and you tap here and you tap here and you tap here, you are physically telling your brain to pay attention. And that, again, when we think about that thunderstorm of brain activity, it pulls the nervous system into a more relaxed state. So this is not psychological mumbo jumbo. This is proven in research studies to change how your brain is functioning. Okay, the next one is one of my favorite ones. So let's see here. So anyway, on tapping, there's a ton of videos on Amazon on tapping. So go over, on YouTube. Go check those out. They're so cool. And again, especially if you've got PTSD, the research with tapping and PTSD is fabulous. So now, again, we're going back to the International Pelvic Pain Society and their discussion about how your brain gets stuck in the fight or flight response and how do we turn that off. Now, remember, your brain is interpreting everything. It's interpreting the smell, oh my God, of this fresh baked cornbread. It is interpreting what you're seeing. And the more senses that are involved, the more, again, we get your brain to kind of stop focusing on the stress. It will calm that down. And what we're going to do instead is engage different parts of the brain. And that's what I Spy does. So, and this is basically the foundation of mindfulness. What mindfulness says is just stop for a moment and think about and focus on just what's around you. Like the pitter patter of children in the street, or the Christmas carols in the background, or again, a lovely smell. So I Spy forces you to do this. And I love this. I did this with a patient who called who was just in massive anxiety Friday night. And boy, did it work really well. Okay, so here we go. It's pretty cool. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is just look around you. What do you see? What's attracting your eyes? And for me, it's a beautiful painting by a friend of mine. Just look at it. What do just, oh, it's so nice. It's cool. Okay. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in for 3, out for 3. Okay, now, what do you smell at this very moment, sitting in front of your computer or your phone or your iPad? What do you smell? I smell cornbread. All right, in for 3, out for 3. Okay, now stop for a moment and listen. What do you hear? I hear my ears ringing. Oh, great. Okay. Hopefully you hear Christmas carols. Okay, or whatever. In for 3, out for 3. What do you taste? Can you taste anything? Passion fruit Gatorade. That's what I'm drinking. All right, in for 3, out for 3. Okay. And what do you feel? Like with your hands, what do you feel? Like I feel this is a really soft cotton. It's soft. I like it. I like it. Okay, in for 3, out for 3. So again, now what we've done is we've just told your brain to pay attention to the other senses. But there's more. Okay, now imagine seeing something that brings a smile to your face. Okay? In for 3, out for 3. Okay. Now imagine hearing something that would bring a smile to your face. What would that be? For me, it would be my new obsession, BTS's song Microcosmos. I love that song. Okay. In for 3, out for 3. Okay. Now, imagine smelling something that would bring a smile to your face. Are you making Christmas cookies? Have you made them already? Smell of cookies is top. In for 3, out for 3. Or for me, maple syrup. I remember a very strong memory that my little pillow that I carried around as a kid smelled like maple syrup. I had my little crutch, my little maple syrup pillow. I still remember that 60 years later, 50 years later. Now imagine tasting something that would bring a smile to your face. Mm, What would that be? What would bring a smile to my face? A hot cinnamon roll. In for 3, out for 3. Now imagine touching something that would bring a smile to your face. What would that be? For me, that would have been petting my cat. Warm, lovely, soft fur. Okay. In for 3, out for 3. Now, what I want you to think about is which one of your senses was the most powerful for you? Which one was the easiest to access? So, gosh, what was mine? Mine was probably um, hmm, I like color. So I like looking at colors, but I like sounds. And ironically, my learning style is a color learning style. Like I literally have colored post-its. My brain is organized in colors. I mean, it's just so freaking weird, but it's actually a real learning style. It's a rare learning style, but it's just how I learn. Is I learn with colors. When I write something, I have to. You're gonna think I'm nuts. You're gonna think I'm totally nuts here. But when I write something, I have to decide what color it's going to be before I write it. I mean, it's weird, but it's just the way my brain is. And hey, you know what? Number 1 from Harvard, so it's working for me. Okay. So Your most powerful sense is also how you anchor yourself and how you create a safe place for relaxing. And so if sound is everything, then you need to bring more sound into your life. If color is everything, if touch is everything, understand that when we're pulling all of these senses in, we are telling the brain to function differently. We are moving away from the stress response, that chronic fight or flight that so many patients are stuck in. And we're turning the amygdala off and we're turning the rest of the brain and the parasympathetic nervous system back on. And again, that is essential for controlling pain. Roberta says, so if I say, for instance, even though I have to go to the bathroom so often, this tapping will not help you have to pee more. No, that's not what I'm saying. And that would be a really interesting experiment to do. That would be a really interesting experiment to do. It would be very interesting to try. Because remember, you've got your lower brain is basically the gate. It's the mechanism. So the purpose of the lower brain is to determine which pain message to send through. I mean, you're wired with tens of thousands of pain nerves that can send pain messages to your brain. You have far more pain nerves than pleasure nerves. So the purpose of the lower brain, we call it the gate, is to only let the most important pain message through. So what lepers used to do, leprosy was really huge decades ago. It's a bacterial infection that goes after nerves. So people with leprosy, literally, they're walking on bones. They have no idea because they have no pain sensation there. Anyways, leprosy is really awful. Okay. But one of the things that some leper patients would do is they'd hit themselves with wire brushes. I don't know if you can hear me. Feel like I'm hitting my thigh. When you do that, when you provide a distraction, your brain has to let the distraction through. If you stepped on a nail today, damn, ow, yeah, that pain message is going to go through. But 3 days from now, if you fell and you skin your knee, are you going to feel the nail? No, you're going to feel the skin knee because the lower gate, the lower part of your brain will only send the pain message through. So I think we could make a successful argument that tapping might help at the lower brain also. Okay. And then there's one more, but this is going to make me look like a goofball. They call it Bumblebee. And this is, again, remember that oxygen neutralizes adrenaline. We're trying to turn off the adrenaline response. We're trying to turn off the stress response. And so I've talked about the anxiety class that I took, which is when you have anxious thought, you close your eyes, visualize a stop sign, take a nice slow deep breath, and that oxygen renders the adrenaline chemically neutral, right? So you can watch my video on that. Anyway, this is a different way of doing it. This is Bumblebee. So what you do is you inhale completely, and then as you exhale, you have to make your lips buzz. And try to breathe out longer than you breathe in. Or you can sigh it out. You can go, right? Or you can work on lifting your vocal cords that will also help up what they say will also change your emotions. And so you can go, ooh, and then hold on, I don't want to deep breathe too much. Okay. Ooh. 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 You get it? You go up the scale. And so that's called the Bumblebee exercise. But hey man, you know what? It's that time of year. One of the best ways to increase your oxygenation is to sing. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Right? So think about what I just did with my breath, right? I took a one breath and I was able to sing all of that in a nice, slow, meaningful way. So let's try it. Let's do it together. I mean, y'all, come on now. We can, hey, we're a support group. We can do whatever the hell we want to do. So it's just sing with me. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings at Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Right? That's good for your brain. You know what's interesting is that in all the brain studies they've done, you know who has really different brains? Musicians from childhood. That if you grow up with music, your brain is wired in a very different way than if you didn't. And it kind of makes you think, I mean, think about like one of my dearest friends in high school. Her name was Anita Shaw. I loved her. She was my partner in labs. She was 2 years younger than me, and she's just smartest girl in the world. Oh my God, straight A's and everything. She is now a very famous doctor back east. There was no doubt she inspired me to do what I did. But she started off as a musician, and that reorganized her brain to the point that she was able to kind of study differently. So, music is important for calming your brain down. Now, let me just see if there's anything. Okay, so the last thing that they said, again, at the International Pelvic Pain Society, let's see, hold on a sec. Visualization. Visualization. You ever watch the Olympics and you watch the any of the skiers or any of the athletes or the gymnasts, right? And they're not performing yet. They're on the sidelines, but you can see them going. You see them rehearsing. You see them rehearsing in their brain what they're going to do, right? If you've ever watched an athlete prepare for a possible gold medal performance, you see them visualizing or rehearsing in their mind what they are planning to do. Dr. Millspaugh said, the mind can guide neural connections. Visualization is used in sports psychology, hypnosis, and neurolinguistic programming. If we can imagine doing something, our brain is experiencing it at the time, and we're telling the brain what we want it to do. So for the pain patient, this might include visualizing an excellent doctor's appointment before you even walk into the doctor's office. Or visualize, if like I'm going to have an MRI the Monday after Christmas in that little tiny tube that's going to be very loud, right? And so what I have to do is I've got to visualize. I'm going to wake up that morning feeling good. I'm feeling confident. Man, I have got my Wonder Woman pose. I can do anything I need to do. And frankly, I want to know what the hell is going on to keep this SI issue going for so long. I'm going to walk into that appointment confident. I am here. I'm ready to do it. I'm going to take my clothes off. I'm going to lay into that. I'm going to lay down on the thing. They're going to push me into the damn MRI. And I'm going to be calm and curious. I'm going to do it. 30 minutes is going to pass like nobody's business. And the information we're going to get from that MRI is going to help us figure out why my SI joint is so screwed up, right? Rehearse in your mind something good happening. She encouraged the use of imagery and metaphors, such as visualizing a microscopic army moving to your bladder and fighting any infection. Cancer patients do that a lot. You can do that. Or you could simply pretend that you're weeding out negative thoughts. like you're visualizing a garden. I mean, visualizations are power. So this is great. Kath on YouTube said she could smell and taste apple pie. That's very cool. So visualization matters. You're an athlete. You're an IC athlete. And don't let your brain focus on negative outcomes. First of all, tomorrow hasn't happened. Now, y'all, we're talking, we got to be real here. Listen, I had anxiety disorder for years. That's what happens when you grow up with a rapist and murderer near you who tries to get you, which happened to me for years. And he raped and murdered my neighbor. I was afraid to leave my house for a long time. And even to this day, that was a very, very powerful thing that happened to me that changed my life. And that explains why, to a certain degree, it has been hard for me to do a few things. That was extremely traumatic to my brain. But it's done. It's over. He's dead. That will never happen again. I could be here catastrophizing about all the bad things that happened to me. Damn it. Why? God, why did you put me through this? God, why? Why did you give me so many problems? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? Why am I not better? Listen, all that's doing is that's amping up your fight or flight. And it's over. And it was sad. And it should never have happened. But if you dwell on it today and you catastrophize it today, you're amping up your nervous system. You're winding it up. And we can't do that. So don't relive the past. It's done. He's fucking dead. And if I could have been the one to put him there, I would have. And I'm being completely truthful here. This guy was evil, and he hurt a lot of my people, a lot of my friends. And I'm not lying, but it's over. But you can still see the emotion in it. But I don't want to dwell on the future either. You know what? I'm not God. I can't predict the future. For all I know, something miraculous can happen tomorrow. I don't want to assume that tomorrow is going to be bad. I don't want to assume that a doctor can't help me. I don't want to assume that he's going to be a jerk or she's going to be a jerk. For all I know, this could be somebody who absolutely loves helping IC patients, who loves solving the mystery of pelvic pain. What you have control of right now is this moment right now. And if you live this moment in stress, you're going to make your pain worse. But if you live this moment relaxed and laughing, your brain is going to interpret that pain less. So the example they used in this International Pelvic Pain Conference for the entire 3 days was a woman who started out as a teenager with very painful periods. And then in her 20s, they found endometriosis, and she ended up having several surgeries. And then in her 30s, she had bowel issues. And then in her 40s, she had bladder issues. And then in her 50s, she was finding fibromyalgia, pain everywhere, right? It's like, why the hell does that happen? That is just so freaking weird. Now we know why. Is that original pain amped up her nervous system. Her nervous system became maladaptive. Her brain started focusing, the amygdala stayed on instead of turning off, and that wound up the entire nervous system. And that's why we see patients over time getting more pain conditions. It's really not your freaking vulva. Your vulva is probably normal. It's the nerves within malfunctioning, becoming more sensitive because of a trauma. We have to accept that a trauma happened, and now we have to physically calm the nervous system down. and we can do it. So the last thing, Dr. Millspot ended her lecture with a simple list of daily tasks. Number one, turn off every single notification on your cell phone and computer. Because every time you get it, it triggers a burst of adrenaline into your bloodstream that winds up your nervous system. Do not let the computer control you. Pick a time, do it for 30 minutes, and then walk away. Get rid of all of those notifications which startle you, which y'all saw me doing during fire season because we had them on waiting for fires. Let me tell you, living through that was hard. For 60 seconds every hour, do I spy? Come on, take it 30 seconds. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you feel? Right? We're just trying to get the brain to, again, focus on the senses. Here's something cool. You can do, this is hard. You can do something called harmonized breathing with your partner or harmonized gazing, where just for 5 minutes, you're just looking, you're trying to match each other's breath. 20 minutes of mindfulness a day. She said, eat at least one bite per meal slowly and decrease caffeine and other stimulants which wind up your nervous system. I want to read you my conclusion. This is a huge article in our magazine. I never expected the International Pelvic Pain Society conference to change my understanding of my IC, IBS, and vulvodynia so dramatically, but it has. Now we understand why our bodies have become so sensitive and why, as the years progress, more pain conditions occur. It's a nervous system that has been traumatized and is under long-term duress. But now with these mind-body techniques, we can turn it around. We have to start focusing on healing our nervous system rather just on therapies that help your bladder or bowel. It's going to take some courage to admit that you're living with constant chronic anxiety that is changing the way your brain is functioning. God didn't give you the skills to deal with anxiety when you were born. It's time to learn some new ones. Anxiety management techniques can be learned from books, videos, online classes, and anxiety experts. My chronic overlapping pain conditions have been very controlled for the past decade. And I think that one reason why is that I refuse to allow myself to dwell on negative thoughts. I actively oppose them using the phobies technique, but I also incorporate positivity in my daily life. As I sit in my office typing this, I have pictures of butterflies, dragonflies, and fairies figurines around me. The walls are a warm and happy yellow. There are birds hanging from the lamp over my desk. There are inspirational quotes. Believe, love, everywhere. The drapes are open. The sun is shining in. I see blue cleansing skies. Please remember that the brain and the nervous system are remarkably resilient. It can be changed. Chronic overlapping pain conditions can be calmed, and there is a very new and exciting way to approach this. Now, again, I know some of you think I'm full of shit. Boy, I'm swearing a lot today. Oh, sorry. I'm going to sit down again. All right. Oh. 20 years ago would have called myself out and said, don't talk to me about that. It's my brain, it's my bladder that's hurting. For God's sake, talk about bladder pain. I don't want to hear about that crap, visualizing stuff. I did not understand the toll that trauma takes on the nervous system and the toll that repetitive trauma takes on the nervous system and how your brain interprets things. It is fascinating. It is exciting. And the data is undeniable that when you turn the amygdala off, the pain improves dramatically. So if you're one of those people, you're spinning in a circle. You are so freaking anxious. It's like, oh my God, it's a flare. It's never going to go away. I'm stuck. My life is doomed. It's over. Who's going to care for me? I'm unlovable. I'm a terrible person. And you're spinning in circles. Okay. That is fight or flight under control. Stop. Deep breath in, out, in, out, in, out. We just turned off all the adrenaline from all that negative thinking right there. And do these. We got to retrain the brain to be calm again. We got to calm everything down. I love it. All right. Y'all might think I'm nuts. For some of you who do, we have a big article on it. International Pelvic Pain Society, IPPS.org. There you go. So for those of you who have stress, major trigger, now you know why. Pain accompanied by stress is going to make it worse. Arlene says, I've always had anxiety. So Arlene, so did I. So have I from childhood. That means that something happened in your childhood that created this foundation. And it could have been, as they said at the conference, your birth experience. If you were in the NICU for weeks or months as an infant, that will put the brain in a heightened state of anxiety that could be affecting you 40 years later. Amanda says, I definitely live in a state of fight or flight. You don't have to, Amanda. These techniques work. Everything I just did works. It's a bad, and yeah, there might be a case where, I mean, this is where it gets hard because some people are in very unhappy relationships and they're very stressed out and you want to make it work and you don't, their life is happening and life is hard and life is stressful. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's really, really nice to talk to somebody, right? It's really, really nice to talk to somebody. Melissa says, I started Premarin for this past week following a decade of UTIs. I've had IC for 29 years, well managed with diet, baking soda until this past year and a half. After Lyme disease, antibiotic yeast infection for the past 18 months at the age of 60, I have been in a continuous flare that finally resulted in pelvic floor dysfunction. I've been getting help with that, and the therapist recommended topical estrogen for dry skin. Finally got a script from my doctor. It's amazing what improvement it is making. Yeah. So, Melissa, remember that would be IC subtype 2 bladder wall-driven estrogen atrophy, also known as the genitourinary syndrome of menopause. So that's one variant. And Anna she's having her period and she's not having a flare, and that's some people are extremely hormone resilient. We have another article on that in our magazine that should be out right after the new year. It is late, but you know what? Life happens. Anna says, my bully was my boss at my old job. Yeah. Arlene says, my bully were my parents. Yeah. Anne says, is estrase good for IC? Estrase will help your skin produce mucus, which will protect your bladder. Your bladder is like your mouth. It's a hollow organ covered with a thick coating of mucus. Unfortunately, that mucus is estrogen dependent. So when you're young and you have lots of mucus, your bladder can protect itself. When you're older, you have much less mucus. Your bladder can't protect yourself. Roberta says, I will try these as an experiment, let you know if it works with this pain when I have to go. Good. Do it, man. You know what? Listen, it's pretty easy to do. Good afternoon, Gay. You guys, I'm about 45 minutes behind with my comments on Facebook. Sorry about that. Emily says, what do you do for pain if you're in a flare? Well, Emily, first thing you got to do is figure out what kind of flare it is. Is it a bladder wall flare or a pelvic floor flare? If it's a bladder wall flare from drinking something you shouldn't have drunk or eating something you shouldn't have drunk, normally what you would do is alkalinize your urine. So drink some water, dilute your urine, maybe take a Tums or a Pre-Leaf or a little bit, quarter teaspoon of baking soda and a glass of water to neutralize that acid. You could do azo bladder pain relief tablets to numb your bladder wall, and then you write it out. You're gonna have to write it out. If it gets really bad or you're a chemotherapy patient, you can ask the doctor for rescue installation, which would numb your bladder. Um, or if it's a pelvic floor flare, it's completely different. With pelvic floor flare, your job is to relax your pelvic floor muscles. And so you're going to be using heat. You might take a hot shower, a hot bath. Again, we've got these wonderful bladder heating pads, although I think we might be sold out. But these are perfect for heat. I have like 5 of these I rotate through myself. And I usually use them for my back and my legs. You might use a muscle relaxant, Flexeril, which I took last night, baclofen, vaginal Valium, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I gotta go pee. I'll be right back. Oh, my leg hurts. Good tidings at Christmas and a happy new year. All right, time to sit on the yoga ball. Okay, oh, hold on. So if I start bouncing, it's because I'm sitting on my yoga ball. All right. How are you feeling today? How are you guys feeling? I know it's not the holidays we were hoping for. I might even stream Christmas Day. I might. See who else is on because we're staying home, my friends. We are staying home. Dale, dude, Dale, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while and you had COVID. Are you recovered? I've been thinking about you because I hadn't seen you. Christine says she was taught some of these techniques for her fibro. Lisa says, I did a version of this years ago and it really helped. Thank you for the reminder. Tammy says, never tried any of the things we were doing. Julie says, I feel so relaxed. I have done my God. Okay, I'm going to try not to stress anybody out then. Vicky said, I've wanted to try tapping in the past. I have PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Vicky, go over to YouTube and try some of those videos. They're awesome. Tammy said, box breathing is great, that your pastor taught it to the congregation. That's awesome. Anna wants to know supplements for flares. So, you guys, there's going to be, we've been working really closely with a company called Natural Approach Nutrition. Okay, like I feel like I'm really small right now because I'm sitting on this ball. Um, and natural approach to nutrition is they're just being stunningly innovative. So we have bladder builder, bladder rest, Peora for pain relief, the bladder smart low acid vitamin, which I asked them to make. They are having they have been working on a new flare formula for patients in flares, and it's going to be pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. I think it's sublingual. So anyway, we'll have more info on that. Ratched says, I have a question about Sister Protect. Does it acidify the urine? And the answer is no. What acidifies the urine is calcium glycerophosphate pre-leaf, or a sodium bicarbonate, something like that. Sister Protect has a protective effect from chondroitin and hyaluronate combined with an antihistaminic effect from quercetin. It's an older supplement, and unfortunately, we just continue to have supply and delivery issues. So I didn't have it for 2 weeks. It just came in. It was sitting in a warehouse up in the Sierras for 2 weeks before the freight company would deliver it to us. And so for those of you who have wanted to buy Sister Protect, just know that I have been screaming bloody murder. They kept pushing the delivery back. They promised Monday, and then they call and say Tuesday, and then Tuesday they call and say Wednesday, and it's went on for 2 weeks. So we do have we do have Sister Protect back in stock. Get it while you can. Anne says, if you have nocturia, do you have IC? Well, nocturia can be caused by lots of different things. Nocturia means you're getting up at night. So some people have nocturia because they're in congestive heart failure, and it's easier for their body to produce urine at night. That's something I'm noticing with my elderly dad. He's struggling more at night, although they say his heart is fine, but that's one of the symptoms of that. There could be some kidney functions going on that could be messing with the nocturia, but getting up at night with IC is common for bladder wall flares. At nighttime, you don't have the distraction that you have during the day. And so you might not notice that something was irritating you until you actually lay down and there's nothing else to distract you away from the pain. What is going on with my glasses? What is that? Oh my God. Oh, good. Ooh, I thought it was a scratch. I only have, I lost my other set of glasses during our fire evacuation. And so this is my last pair, and with COVID, I can't go get other ones yet. So I got to be really good to these glasses for another 6 months. So anyway, and yes, nocturia happens most often with bladder wall irritation. Sandy says, I'm packing my house to move. I missed my B&O suppositories and instills. I went into remission for several years. The stress of moving in a pandemic at Christmas is oh, you guys. And also, I do need to give you our COVID update. Allie said, Allie. Well, that's holy hell. She said, I posted way earlier in the stream, but I really want to know why I was called a liar and told my urine was fake because it had red blood cells in it, but not white blood cells in it, and accused of pricking my finger to add blood to my urine because the nurse who has never liked me told the new doctor I was a hypochondriac. Boy, honey, I'm so sorry that anybody would say that to you. White blood cells are sent to an area to fight infection or to fight trauma, leukocytes. And so if you notice on a dipstick test, there's usually 2 pads on a dipstick, one for leukocytes and one for nitrites. If you had positive nitrites and positive leukocytes, that absolutely means you have infection and you need to go get your urine tested. If you have no nitrites but positive leukocytes, that means that your bladder wall is irritated and your body has sent white blood cells to the area to figure out what the hell's going on. I have to wonder if your urethra was bleeding. You know, I mean, that's possible. Understand too that those dipstick tests are flawed. They are flawed. You can have false positives and false negatives. They're just very, very preliminary screens. And if you had a healthcare provider tell you to commit suicide, you better have damn well reported them to your state immediately to get their license pulled. Fight back. Don't let anybody do that. I mean, like, seriously, you need to call your state medical board immediately and file a complaint and get that doctor investigated. And you might be able to sue too. Carol says pain becomes progressively worse over time. You're right, it can, but why? And the answer is because the pain winds up the nervous system. That your body, your brain, and your nervous system reacts to the presence of pain in a very, very specific way. And so if that pain goes untreated, yes, you're going to be in constant fight or flight, more. And that pain certainly is going to intensify. That's why we want to address pain early. That's why the American Urology Association guidelines ask that pain be assessed at every single appointment, because we don't want your nervous system wound up. Living in Alabama, it's impossible to prove. I've lost faith in healthcare. I'm sorry, hun. If you had a doctor tell you to commit suicide, it wasn't just you. I'm sure it's happened to other patients. The more patients file, get it on record, call the medical board, even if he disputes it. If more and more patients call over time, they're going to see that that doctor has a problem. So you're doing it not just for yourself, but for other patients who might come after you. Tammy says anger is a huge pain trigger. Yeah, because you're winding your nervous system up, winding your nervous system up. So guys, this is when we normally go into our Zoom meeting. And so let me start, let me start that up. Hold on a sec. Oh God. Holy crap. Okay, my face was just a little too close to the camera there. You can see me, wrinkles and all. All righty, what on earth is going on here? All right. Okay, so in the Zoom portion of the meeting, and y'all don't have to do it if you don't want to. That is okay with me. I'm gonna plan on stopping at 3 because I have to go make Christmas bread because it's got to go in the mail tomorrow. Here, hold on a sec. My computer wants to updates. Hello, Joanne. Okay, so for everybody on Facebook and YouTube, the Zoom meeting is your opportunity to come in and ask questions, tell your story, get a little bit of personalized coaching from me. And so, oh God, I almost canceled Facebook. I hate it when I do that. Okay, so Facebook, your invitation to the Zoom meeting. YouTube. Okay. Hi, Joanne. Here, hold on one sec. I'm going to mute you just for a quick sec. Merry Christmas to you, Donna. Kath said, I've learned more in this video than I've gotten from my doctors. Nicole says, anxiety feeds the pain, pain feeds the anxiety. It is an endless cycle. Nicole says, I have my students visualize the choreography before a performance. It works. Janet says, when my IBS flares up, so does my IC. Why? Because your central nervous system is wound up. That's why. That's what happens with your brain. I mean, it's very primeval. You know, when you think about, we know so little about the brain and what it does, but we know that it remembers everything. Everything you've ever experienced, your brain remembers. Your brain uses that information to interpret your life. The brain is stunning. And so the role that the brain is playing in our health is important. Hello, Patty. Nice to see you. I haven't really eaten anything today, so let me get a little bit of yogurt down. All righty. Okay, so Facebook, YouTube, you guys are going to hear this. You won't see them. You will only see patients if you come into the meeting. All right. So let us start with Joanne. Oh, and now my phone here. Hold on. Let me check this real quick.
Am I on?
All right, Joanne, how are you today? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you. What can I help you with today?
Well, mostly I just got recently diagnosed, and mostly I think it's because I'm 70. I think it's the pain seems to be right there at the urethra.
Yeah.
And I got some Premarin.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I've just been struggling. I've been sitting on a heating pad. I've been really struggling with this, and that's why I wanted to join. Now, in 2017, August 9th, 2017, I came down with Guillain-Barré syndrome. I'm not sure. I think it was from mosquitoes. I don't think it was from vaccinations. I spent 5 months. I spent 3 months in the hospital and 2 months in rehab. And I had a Foley for the whole time I was in the hospital. And I'm wondering if that didn't have something to do with this IC.
I don't think so.
This last year, last year I started with I thought I had a bladder infection. I got an antibiotic. I went back to the doctor. Oh, it didn't work. He gave me another antibiotic. Oh, it didn't work. That went on until I went to a urologist.
Yeah.
And had cystoscopy.
Okay. And what they find during the cystoscopy?
He didn't tell me anything. He said he wanted me to have a hydrodistension, and he said he saw a spot, quote unquote, and he wanted before he even gave me a diagnosis, it was, oh, you have to come back. We're going to do this under anesthesia, and we're going to do a biopsy. And I didn't go back. I talked to him, telemed thing, and I said, look, I'm already under pain. I want to get the pain under control, and then we can talk about the next step. But I've been kind of struggling on my own, trying to eat healthy.
Okay.
Juicing. It stopped for a while, but my pain mostly is right there at the urethra.
Okay, so I can tell you what that is. That is estrogen atrophy. The urethra.
I've been listening to you and taking notes.
That's, as my doctor said to me, when my urethra started hurting, just like yours, is the urethra is the canary in the coal mine when it comes to estrogen atrophy. And it's the first part of the urinary tract to start screaming when the skin gets too thin, remember? So yeah, right. And so the blue layer is your mucosal layer. Of course, it's not really blue in real life. But when you start losing it, the irritants in your urine start reaching the more tender, sensitive cells in your urethra. And that then triggers nerves. And so one of the classic symptoms is feeling like there's a drop of urine stuck in your urethra that won't come out. Like there's something there. Do you ever get that sensation?
No, I have pain when I sit down.
Okay, so hold on. So let's talk about that. Okay, so first of all, let's take a deep breath. In for 3. Out for 3. One more time. In for 3. Good. Out for 3. So you are an anatomical mystery to be solved. So we're going to let's explore your anatomy a little bit here, okay? So when you sit, where is the pain?
Right at the urethra.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay. So it's not like you have pain in your butt cheek. You're not having pain shooting down your leg. Okay. So describe the pain for me. What does it feel like?
Feels like somebody's sticking a needle in my urethra.
Does it go away as soon as you stand up?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
It does. Okay. And then I sit on a heating pad. I'm okay with that.
Well, when you sit on the heating pad, what does that do for you?
It just relaxes everything. Oh, the other thing that I heard you say is, like, when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm fine until I stand up and start walking around.
Okay.
And then the pain seems to come back. And I heard you talk about that somewhere along the line.
So we have what we call the chicken versus the egg dilemma. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And for us, it's which comes first, the bladder or the pelvic floor? The reality is that they're both involved. They cannot not both be involved. They are incredibly interconnected. So our job here is to try to figure out what's primary and what's secondary. For some people, IC begins after chemical injury like chemotherapy. And because their bladder's screaming in pain, their muscles get tight to protect them. So our therapeutic priority for that person is to calm and soothe the bladder wall and hope that the muscles will release. Sometimes, if the pain's been there for a long time, then the muscles might even stay tight even after we've calmed the bladder. But that's one scenario. So for you, we could make the case for the fact that you've got estrogen atrophy, your bladder wall and your urethra are more sensitive. This has been going on for some time now. And because you're in pain, your muscles have gotten tight. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or we could go for the opposite, that you might have been somebody who you sustained a muscle injury first. You have no clue you have a muscle injury. Your first symptom is frequency, urgency. You think you have infection. You call the doctor. I've got an infection. The doctor gives you antibiotics. They don't work. You go back to the doctor, different antibiotics. They don't work. You have a culture that finds nothing. And they might say you've got overactive bladder. They give you overactive bladder meds. And they might say you have IC and give you IC meds. But for that patient, Bladder therapies will never fix them completely because their fundamental problem is poor blood flow from tight muscles. So we've got to get that patient in a position where we are working on their muscles first. So you're a mystery. Okay, I can make two or three cases here for you. I could say, number one, that you're a genital urinary syndrome of menopause patient. Your urethra is dry, and that's what's causing all of this. And because it's been going on so long, your muscles are now tight. I'm a little concerned about that spot. How long ago did the doctor say you had a spot that he wanted to look at? 2 years ago?
No. It was maybe 6 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I went in for a cystoscopy.
Okay. Did oh gosh, and you know what? I have something to show you guys. Were you a smoker?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because
No.
so I always say to patients, if your pain is always in a same location, in a spot, we got to understand what the hell the spot is, because normally we don't, but that's slightly different. What he's saying is he thinks he sees something that's abnormal on your bladder wall. If I were you, I would ask for a urine cytology test.
Okay.
A cytology.
Is that second generation?
No. A urine cytology test, all that does is it looks for cancer markers. And if that comes back negative, then I think that could ease some worry there about that spot. Okay. I mean, I believe in being very proactive. I don't like guessing. I like facts. And I'm curious. I would be curious about that spot a little bit. And for all we know, he could have maybe just touched that part of your bladder with the cystoscope, and that's what made it turn a different color. So it's probably nothing to worry about. But I think having a urine cytology test would be a prudent thing to do, just for the hell of it. Again, we're just following lots of leads. But the most interesting question here is, do you remember any trauma? Have you fallen recently?
Not recently. When I got home, when I had the Guillain-Barré, I was paralyzed.
Yeah.
And I had a walker. I remember when I got home, I still couldn't walk, and the first time that I got up and with the walker and tried to get to the bathroom, I did fall. That was.
Did you fall frontwards or backwards?
Sideways, kind of sideways.
Okay.
It didn't bother me for a long time. I just was very fearful of everything, of falling, of getting hurt.
I mean, girl, you went through hell. Guillain-Barré is brutal. Because for people who don't know, it's a rare reaction that happens where basically you become paralyzed. You're awake. I mean, you were aware of what was happening, right? But you can't move your body.
Right.
And it takes months and months to get over. And that's why anytime you have a vaccine, one of the screening questions is, do you have a history of Guillain-Barré? Because we don't want that to happen again. And I don't know if they really understand why that happens. I'm not up on that. Have you had a pelvic?
Nobody understands it.
Have you had a pelvic floor assessment? Okay? So these are the two things that you need to do. You need to be curious about the spot. In my opinion, I would want to know a little bit more if it were me. But I would also ask for a pelvic floor assessment, because you were in a bed for months with Guillain-Barré, and your pelvic floor muscles undoubtedly became weak. And sometimes what happens, and then as you get older, you lose estrogen, which also makes your muscles weak. And a weak muscle still has a job to do. So what happens is it gets tight. and it starts to overcompensate. And so I think out of an abundance of caution, I would just want to know what the heck's going on with your muscles. You know, your symptoms are um, alarming to me in the sense that you're not peeing blood. You're not having any other really severe signs of serious signs that your urethra is either dry or your urethra is being compromised by tight levator ani muscles. Also, you could have now there's another thing that's interesting. Your urethra is kind of like the size of your little finger, right? And about halfway up your urethra is a little gland on the outside. It's like a sea sponge gland. It's called the periurethral gland. And it is the female prostate. It is a homologue to the female prostate, to the male prostate. And like the male prostate, it can become infected, and like the male prostate, it gets blocked. And it's like having a deep pimple halfway up your urethra that's painful. But you can check yourself if you just insert your finger. Wash your hands, use a glove, a little bit of KY, put your finger about an inch up into your vagina, and just touch the front part of it and see if you feel any painful lumps. Again, it's like a deep pimple. It's not big. It's not going to be a big giant lump. It's going to be like a pimple that is just under the surface that's tender. That would be interesting to see if perhaps your Foley created what we call a heterogeneous biofilm-based infection in your periurethral gland. Heterogeneous means it's a lot of different bacteria living together. Also, we want to rule out chemical irritants because your skin is so dry. When you sit down, any chemical you sit on is going to get right through to the skin. So if I put on a pair of underwear washed in Tide or Cheer, within 10 minutes, I will have urethral pain. And so we want to make sure that there's not a chemical irritant that's driving that also. What laundry detergent do you use?
I have a low phosphate. I don't use any low chemical detergent.
Okay, but
plus I haven't worn underwear. I just wear, sometimes I wash my clothes in just hot water.
Yeah. Okay. What bath soap do you use? Like when you take a shower, what do you use?
Just, I don't know. It's a no name.
Okay, so Basis, or use Basis soap or a plain unscented Dove bar.
Okay.
Okay, and you don't do any douches or anything like that. What are you using on your skin down there? Coconut oil?
No. I just got the Premarin.
And how long?
I started.
Okay, and how long have you been using the Premarin?
Not long.
Like a week, maybe 2 weeks?
A week, yeah.
And when you use the Premarin, does it hurt? Does it feel hot?
It feels a little, yeah. It feels a little like great. I put this in to reduce the pain, and now I've got more discomfort.
So yeah, but the reason why is because that heat is a direct measure of the quality and health of your skin. So the hotter it is, the drier your skin. But what you're going to notice is every subsequent time you use it, the heat gets better and better and better. It took me about 2 weeks to get from the hot phase to a warm puff of air phase. And
that's good to know.
Yeah, the other thing too with Premarin is that it does have more preservatives in it, and so some people react to Premarin. We do better with a compounded estrogen cream. Anne is asking, is coconut oil good? Yes. Remember, dry skin hurts, dry mouth hurts, dry vulva hurts, dry urethra hurts. That tissue wants kind of an oil-based protection. And so the nice thing about coconut oil, as long as you're not allergic to coconut oil, is it also comes with a natural antibacterial effect, an antifungal effect. And so if you feel, you might find using coconut oil on your tender bits down there a couple, once or twice a day might be helpful too. But you're going to have to give the estrogen, a couple more weeks and see how you do. Okay, hon?
Okay.
But
Yeah.
listen, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. If your pelvic floor is super tight, you might even have a little compressed nerve. This is a chair cushion that I'm sitting on right now that we sell. And it's a Cossacks cushion, and this is a perfect cushion. All right. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. And so each butt cheek is supported, but nothing is touching your urethra.
Okay.
And so I'm wearing this for my sciatica right now. I mean, I'm sitting on it right now for my sciatica. You might, that might help tremendously. Okay. Give your tissue. Hold on.
When she's done, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll get through to you. Okay, so
Okay.
Anyway, Joanne, a big giant hug to you, okay? Big giant hug. You are not alone. You have done nothing wrong. Absolutely none of this is your fault in any way, shape, or form. And again, I want you to keep saying to yourself that it all makes sense. It makes sense. You're 70, and first of all, remember 70 is a new 50, right? And you look beautiful. Just like 60 is the new 40. I'm going for that. But carry hope in your heart. Let's just check some stuff off the list here, okay?
All right.
All right, hug. Big, giant hug. And if you need a pep talk, you know who to call.
Thank you.
Okay, hon.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think the next person that I'm going to is who came in next? Was it Ann or Patty?
I don't know.
All right, let's go to Patty, if you don't mind, let's go to Ann next. Hello, Ann.
Hi, I'm not showing myself. I'm in my pajamas. I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
But okay, so this is where I stand. I ended up going, I have nocturia, and I was peeing like 15 to 19 times a day.
Mm-hmm. So
someone recommended that I go for pelvic floor, because I'm not one for taking any medicine. So I went to a urogyno, and she was good. She diagnosed my IC, not through any testing, but only by symptoms.
Okay.
I had a cystoscopy, whatever, in 2014 from a urologist, and it was fine. But she never recommended another one, which I was thrilled because they hurt a little. So she based my nocturia and my peeing on that I had IC just by my symptoms. So I started pelvic floor. She wanted me to do a pelvic floor diet, an IC diet. Okay. I really never did it because I didn't have to. I told her I'm not coming here for that. I want my coffee. I never had a flare. So I use a pelvic wand. And about 3 weeks ago, I stopped with her because my sessions were over. I had the worst, I think, flare imaginable. I didn't know what a flare was, but I was eating chili and tomato sauce and all kinds of stuff. And I was going to actually go to the ER because I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a UTI.
Okay, Joanne.
Keep going to the doctors for.
Okay, so Joanne, so hold on a sec. How old are you, hon?
I'm 64.
All right, girl. Girl. We got to have the estrogen chat.
Yeah.
Now listen, frequency, urgency, and nocturia are driven by what we call alpha afferent nerves. They're nerves in your bladder wall. And IC is a grab bag diagnosis. People, they say you have IC if you've got frequency, urgency, pressure, pain, but they can't necessarily figure out why or how. Why or how. So, at your age, you are in estrogen atrophy.
I am. They
And
told
and that means that your bladder's ability to defend itself from the coffee and the chili is compromised. You might have been able to get away with that 10 years ago when you had a little bit more estrogen. But you're
right.
I'm telling you right now, you're making a very poor decision if you're continuing to drink coffee, because your skin is different. It's called the genitourinary syndrome of menopause. So I want to tell you a quick story, because this is I was working with a patient who's actually near you, who called, I don't know, it's probably 10 years ago. And she was just like you, just in terrible, just feeling absolutely terrible. And I spent an hour with her on the phone going through everything, right? And I told her about the diet. And I said, now listen, you got to get rid of the coffee. You got to get rid of the soda. We got to give the bladder some time to heal, because the bladder cannot heal if you're pouring acid on it every day.
Right.
Right. And so, I remember her because she had a very, very distinct voice. If I heard her again, I'd know exactly who it was. So I sent her off to Rob Moldwin, one of the top doctors in the world. And 5 years later, she called me and she was hysterical on the phone. I mean, she was she said, Jill, I don't know what to do. I mean, it hurts so bad. Nobody's helping me. Nobody's helping me. Please help me. Please find somebody to help me. Right. And it's like, okay, well, let's just talk about your symptoms for a moment. And so she had pain as her bladder filled with urine that was relieved by urination. So the fuller it got, the worse she felt. But as soon as she emptied her bladder, she felt a little bit better. And I said, well, hon, that's a bladder wall flare. Are you following the diet? And she goes, yes. Her husband's on the phone. He goes, no, she's not. She drinks a pot of coffee a day and a 6-pack of Diet Coke in the afternoon. She doesn't even drink water. Right? And she wailed on the phone. She's like screaming, that's right. Take away everything I love. I have no reason to live if I cannot have my coffee and my soda. Right? I mean, I've never heard a grown woman wail. She was wailing. And I went, honey, I sent you to Dr. Moldwin. You saw him, right? She goes, yeah. I go, didn't he tell you about the diet? She goes, yeah. Didn't you believe him? No. I said, I told you about the diet. Didn't you believe me? She goes, no. You went to this, and this. They all told you about the diet. Didn't you believe them? She goes, no, it never applied to me. Doesn't apply to me. And then I asked her, I said, so how much money have you spent in the last 5 years? Okay. She'd even had Interstem. How much money have you spent? Her husband goes, about $50,000 in treatment, IC treatment money. And I said to her, I said, do you realize you have sabotaged every single treatment you've done? None of them would have had a chance to work, because no treatment can counteract the damage done by a cup of coffee a day. And she was younger than you. And so, that got her attention. I mean, so she's like, what? And I went, yeah, you sabotaged everything. Nothing had a chance to work. And then I explained that the bladder is the slowest healing organ in the body. It takes 2 weeks for one cell to be replaced. And that was from a Dr. Anthony Schaefer, who gave a lecture at the American Urology Association or National Institutes of Health IC meeting. And so if that superficial cell, so if you look at this, these are the largest cells in the human body, these urothelial cells. If one of these is damaged, there's a stem cell at the bottom that grows, changes shape and size until it finally arrives to fill in the spot that's missing. But what Dr. Schaefer said is the problem is this new fragile cell will be destroyed by coffee, a cup of coffee or soda. So every time you have a cup of coffee, you set your tissue healing back 2 weeks. You will literally never catch up. So if you have a bladder wall injury, your job is to create an environment to support healing. And that means you got to lose the irritants for a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, and create an environment that will allow the bladder to heal itself.
I cut down on the coffee and all the other stuff. I went for pelvic floor. Well, anyway, I got my pee down from like 19 times to about 10.
Yeah.
And I still do because I use a wand every other day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I just started. I'm not having any tomato sauce, any whatever. But I went to urologist. My urologist out here, he gave me amitriptyline, and that which I didn't take. He told me I could take it when I have a flare. I heard that's not true. I heard that it has to build up into your system for like 3 weeks.
It takes time for amitriptyline to work, but we have to ask the question, why are your muscles tight? Your muscles are tight because they're guarding you against the pain in your bladder. Your muscles get tight to protect you. That's called the guarding reflex. So yeah, you can do pelvic floor therapy to try to relax that, but if you're drinking even 1 cup of coffee,
right,
you're not going to get better.
What about the low acid?
No,
or with
even
pre-leaf?
if you had an open wound on your hand, would you pour low acid coffee on it?
No.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's very important. I mean, this is something that I started doing very, very early on with the IC network. And I love that doctors are using the language I started using years ago. You know, don't think of IC as a disease process. Think of it as injury or trauma. Right. And so if you think of it as a disease like this lady did, she's like, I'm not going to let this rob me of one of my pleasures in my life. My pleasure in my life is drinking coffee and diet soda.
No.
Right. But then I said, yeah, but what if your bladder's just injured? If you had an open wound on your hand, what do you think would happen to it if you poured coffee on it every day? It would get bigger. It would get worse.
Mm.
And there's a happy ending to that story because, you know, I mean, I love working with patients over the phone. Some of you are easy and some of you are hard. She was one of the hardest patients I've ever worked with. But in the end, she called me 3 months later and she goes, "Oh my God, Jill, you're not going to believe it." And I'm like, and I'm sorry for yelling, but she was yelling at me over the phone. She just had a very loud voice. It's like, what? She goes, "I'm finally off the coffee and the soda. And guess what?" And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I'm better." I said, "Congratulations, congratulations." And in my brain, I'm going, you know, you just gave yourself 5 years worth of pain, which was really sad. The bladder, like any other part of the body, can be injured. And there's a group of patients who, because their diets are so bad, they get chemical injury of the bladder. And like chemotherapy, only it's a chemical injury from too much coffee or soda. And it just is what it is. And you're unfortunately, because of your age now, your bladder can't sustain it anyway. What you should try.
They told me to use estrogen. What?
Well, even if you do estrogen, your bladder's never going to be like it was when you were 30 years old.
Right.
And so you need some new it's something new to drink. And let me show you what I drink.
Okay. Gatorade.
Hold on a sec. This is what I love, and this is actually from New York.
Oh,
It's a pumpkin spice rooibos tea. And it's not spicy at all. It's like warm vanilla but it's not, I mean, it's so good.
I love pumpkin spice. Where do I get it? Through you guys?
Harney and Sons. It's made by Harney and Sons, and they are in New York. And so it might even be at a local store for you. Otherwise, you can get it from us too. But this is it's a rooibos tea, which means it's a brown grain tea, and it's really good. And so I would try that. And then the other thing you could try, this is called Dandy Blend, but I would wait. I wouldn't try this for a couple months. It comes in little, we did a taste test on air a couple months ago with this. You just put it into warm water, and it's made with, what's it made with? Barley, rye, chicory root, dandelion root, sugar beet. And it was pretty good too. But for the moment, yeah, I think you need to assume that your bladder wall is very, very injured. And I would be doing chamomile herbal tea. I would be doing peppermint herbal tea if you can tolerate the peppermint. And I think the rubus would be safe for you. I think that this would be safe for you to do too.
That has no caffeine in it, right?
No caffeine.
Could I see, what's it called? Ruba? Could I see the name of it again?
Well, it's go over to our website, icnetwork.org, and go into our shop and go under beverages, and you can read all the ingredients.
Oh, okay. Because they didn't want me to cut down on caffeine, or just they wanted me to wean off of it slowly when I went for pelvic floor.
Well, yeah, you might need to. I mean, caffeine, if you're doing a ton of caffeine, your nervous system is about
I cut down from like 2 cups to a 3/4.
Good. Okay. So you probably have another week. You probably have another week to 10 days before you can be off. So
right.
That's going to be your New Year's resolution to start the new year caffeine free.
Right? Thank you.
Okay, hon.
Well, I'm going to a URL gyno in January, and I'm gonna I have a lot of questions for him. There's not so many where we live. There's very far and few between. But I'm gonna follow up with a URL gyno. The one that I had, I loved her, but she retired.
So there's a video on our website called the Estrogen Chat. I think you need to watch that. And then I think you need to Google genitourinary syndrome of menopause and look at all of those symptoms, because I can promise you you're there. Because of your age, you're there.
What is it? What is it?
Genitourinary syndrome of menopause. And the initials are GSM. G is in George, S is in Sam, M is in Mary.
They want me to also do estrogen because I have vaginal atrophy. I'm afraid to use estrogen, but I might have.
Estrogen is perfect for vaginal atrophy. That's exactly what you want to use.
I was afraid because it was a hormone.
Well, honey, but you know, you're rely on certain hormones to function. Estrogen keeps your skin thick and healthy. Estrogen keeps your mucous membranes moist. And so using a little bit of compounded estrogen down there is topical estrogen is considered very safe. The challenge, you're going to have the same challenge that Joanne has, and that is going to be the first few times that you use it, it's probably going to feel really hot. And it's not burning you, it's that your skin is dry. And every subsequent time you use it, the estrogen gets better. You know, I mean, you know, guys, this is a public meeting and I never know who's listening, but I'm really brutally honest and I'm willing to talk about anything. I will tell you, for me, at the age of 60, my inner labia are gone. They are completely self-absorbed from the loss of estrogen after my hysterectomy 3 years ago. And so using that estrogen to keep your skin healthy is important. It's important. And in the meantime, remember, dry on dry hurts. And so using coconut oil to give yourself a little bit of moisture, or using V Magic, which I have, let me see if I have it here. Is this it? It's V Magic. Oh. Here, hold on, let me get it. Hold on. right. It's so tight. Where is my V Magic? This is a sister product to it called B Magic, but they're in tubs like this, and it's organic olive oil, avocado oil, sea buckthorn oil, and it's very close to being. It's about as close as you're ever going to get to natural mucus. Really good stuff.
Would you just put it on the outside?
Yeah, yeah, to help with dryness, because sometimes you get so dry when you're walking, your lips chafe against each other, and it doesn't feel good.
I don't get none of that though.
I know,
I
but
just have atrophy. They can't do a pap smear.
well, if they can't do a pap smear, you're dry as a bone down there. So we got to work on that. And the topical estrogen. So also take a little bit of time and Google topical estrogen safety so that you can read that research and see it, because topical estrogen is considered remarkably safe. Okay, hon?
Thank you.
And happy holidays.
Same to you.
You got this, girl. You got this.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Patty.
Hello.
Hi, Patty. How are you today?
I'm better than I was the past few days.
Oh God, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I had a nasty I don't know if it was pelvic floor related or something, but I had a nasty pain in my stomach, sent me to the ER.
In your stomach or in your in your abdomen? Where in your stomach? Was it high or low?
My belly button.
Interesting. What they think it was?
They really weren't sure. They really didn't know, because I have endometriosis and I also have recently.
So you're saying that the pain was like right here?
Well, not really like right there, but all from one side to the other, focusing more on the left. Yeah.
I'm focusing more on the left side. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an appointment on Tuesday with my urogyno to talk about some ultrasound results that I think might factor into that.
Oh,
but it was nasty pain, like nothing I did put a dent in it. So finally, it's just like I need to go to the ER and get somebody else to help me.
And what did they do? I mean, like I said, I was at the ER a week ago myself with my leg. And were they able to help at least a little bit?
Oh yeah, they were able to help a lot. Like
Good.
they gave me some anti-nausea medicine and painkillers, and that worked wonders. And now my pain's dropped to a more manageable level to non-existent, depending on when I've taken a painkiller. Because I'm like, I get this pain during my period and my IC, pelvic floor. My problem is pelvic floor for sure.
Well, okay, so remember in the International Pelvic Pain Society meeting, they used basically you as an example of a younger woman who had endo, who then ended up with bladder issues, who then ended up with bowel issues. And the connection really is the fact that the endometriosis is very painful, especially during your period. And that winds up your nervous system. And so it's important to try to get the endo under control if at all possible. And for you to do all those exercises I went through earlier to keep your nervous system calmer. So we don't get.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
That's kind of why I came onto the video chat, because I wanted to ask you about that. Because when you brought up that case, I was like, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
And like during those exercises, like as I'm doing them, they work and I can feel it calming down. But then it's like I stop doing it and I feel like the tension just like swoop back in. And it's like,
yeah, I mean,
how can I get it so it lasts longer?
Well, I think part of it is let's see, how would I say this? You have to be really persistent, especially now. I mean, especially with COVID, especially with everything going up. I'm having more negative thoughts now too. And as soon as I have one, man, which I did when I was washing my hair, it's like, all right, I just stop my brain, and I use my toolkit. So I use my stop sign, deep breath, try to just stop that whole cascade happening. And then I also think another thing is just like, IC doesn't scare me at all anymore. It doesn't, and it hasn't for years. What's scary is pain. You know, it's when the pain, you know, the pain just amps everything up. And so addressing that pain early, aggressively, you've got the pain meds, you know. So when you're finding your nervous system getting wound up, acting early. I always used to tell people, you know, I've only ever taken, back when I was diagnosed, I've only taken one Vicodin as a whole pill once in my life. Like literally in 27 years, I've only taken one Vicodin as a whole pill, because I knew as soon as I took it, it was too much for me, because it made my head swim and it made me nauseous. So I went to half the pill. Like, oh, okay, that's way better, not nauseous. And then I went to a quarter pill. And what was stunning to me is that a quarter of a pill turned off 95% of my flares when I felt the pain building up. If you let pain get out of control, you're winding up your nervous system. If you can act early with a little tiny bit of whatever you might need to nip it in the bud, you might be amazed at how much calmer your body stays. Yeah, the patient.
Yeah, I've tried to do that too. Like, tried to nip the pain before it starts, but then sometimes it, like, once it gets started, it just keeps going and going and going, and it's like nothing. Like, I'll to get in the bath for a hot soak, I'll take painkillers, and like it'll get a little bit, and then as soon as I get out, it's just like it just starts right back up, and that's my problem. I'm having just a hard time getting it to stop ramping up once it's going.
I mean, the key point here is the endo. You've got active endometriosis, and that's going to be the focus of your conversation with your gynecologist on Tuesday. Is has the endometriosis increased, and is there something that they can do that might be helpful? You know,
yeah.
I mean, because it's just going to trigger you every time you have your period. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I went off birth control last year because I was kind of curious as to if the birth control was contributing to anything.
Yeah.
Which by now, a year later, I can say, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I've actually been considering going back on it and skipping the placebo week so I could, well, one, I want a break from the pain.
Yeah.
But then I was kind of wondering, I was like, well, if I take this break from the pain, work with my physical therapist, maybe that combination will get everything calmed down. And
well, and so this is where Elavil, amitriptyline, I think any doctor would suggest that to you, because having that daily nerve calming effect would potentially be beneficial as long as you can tolerate the medication, or even doing Peora, which is the over the counter product that's known for calming nerves down. Either one of those would be an interesting experiment, just to try to keep that pain consistent on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have Peora in my Amazon wish list. I just haven't gotten around to ordering.
How do you spell Peora?
Peora. But you can't drink coffee.
I don't have pain. I just have a lot of pressure and urgency when I had the flare.
Same diff, hun. Same diff. Your brain is interpreting pain. But your case is crystal clear, Anne. Your case is that, you know, estrogen atrophy and coffee, you know, just a wicked combination.
Right.
Yeah.
PR.
Yep.
Peora is better than tryptophan.
Well,
you have it on your site?
I do. So the American Urology Association, in their guidelines for IC, they have 6 steps of treatment, and they're arranged with respect to the risk of adverse events. So they don't want you to do the dangerous stuff until you do all the easy stuff. And so they have supplements in step 1, Elavil in step 2. And the reason why Elavil in step 2 is because it has the potential of causing more side effects. It can cause weight gain. It can cause a rapid heart rate. And as an anticholinergic medication, it can also cause cognitive decline if used on a daily basis.
Yeah, I don't like to take meds.
Right.
At all.
Exactly.
My doctor wanted to do a hydrodistension. I refused it. I heard it's extremely painful. I'm not getting that done.
Well, hun, you got to be informed. You read about it on our website. The old way of doing hydrodistensions was painful. The new way of doing hydrodistensions is low pressure, short duration. It's much less painful. And now some doctors don't even need to do a hydrodistension. They have a special cystoscope called narrowband imaging that will identify everything with a plain cystoscopy. So come on over to our website and read about it. Okay, I got to get back to Patty here. Okay.
Well, now I got to remember what I was gonna say.
Well, you were talking.
Lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the Ellabill, and so
yeah.
having
so you think it'd probably be a good idea to at my next appointment talk about ways, like things I could take, supplements to calm my nerves and.
Well, I think it needs to be discussed. You need to have a discussion about the fact that the endometriosis is triggering pretty intense pain every time you have a period, but you're struggling with pain on a daily basis now. What are my options? And nobody, you're not going in and asking for, fentanyl. You're going in and saying, okay, would a nerve calming agent like gabapentin, also known as Neurontin, or Ellabill, would those be a good first entree into that? Something that will stabilize and calm your nerves would be reasonable. Or instead of doing Ellabill, there is nortriptyline, there is imipramine, there may be something else that she might suggest. And again, if you're intolerant to those, as I was intolerant to all of those, it would be perfectly reasonable to try the Peora, because we have a Peora PEA-IC research study which showed that it was remarkably successful at reducing the pain of IC. That at 3 months, 87% of patients using it had a significant reduction in their pain. And at 6 months, 25% of those patients were now completely pain-free. And so you can give her that research study and say, hey, why don't I give this a shot and see? There might even be a PEA endo research study. Let's look real quick. Hold on. Let me look. Hold on. Palmitoyl ethanolamide endometriosis. Let's just see if, because there are so many studies with it. Girl, right here, the first link. My polydatin treatment of endometriosis pain. And here's another one. You know what? Let me share my screen. Okay, hold on. All right. Whoops. Whoops. Hold on. All right. Can you see this is the National Library of Medicine?
Nope, I just see you.
Oh, so the share didn't work? Okay, hold on. Share. Oh, wait. No. Only the host. Okay, that's done. Why won't it? All right, this should work now.
Oh, yep, there we go.
All right, so here we go. Let's look at this. I see 3. So micronized PEA in the treatment of endometriosis pain. They demonstrate the clinical effectiveness of PEA for reducing endometriosis pain. Oh, this was just a review of other studies. Okay, so they say 4 studies of poor quality were available, but in a heterogeneous sample of endometriosis patients with pain, the administration of PEA twice a day for 3 months provided clinically relevant improvement of chronic pelvic pain and pain with your periods, while improving deep pain with sex to a limited degree. All right, so that's one. So that's just a review of the literature. Let's go back here. And that was done in, it looks like Italy. Let's look at this one. Where was this one done? This one was also done in Italy. They're the ones that are doing most of the PEA research. Here we go.
So that would probably explain why it's been almost 10 years since I was diagnosed, and never has a gyno mentioned PEA or anything like that.
Yeah, but that's because it's European. You know, we haven't really used it much in the United States. Number one, it was impossible to import, and it was extremely expensive. But these new research studies have been presented at American conferences now. More and more doctors are recommending them. So in this study, 30 symptomatic patients with a laparoscopic diagnosis of endo were enrolled. Patients were treated with UMP twice daily, which is the same thing for the IC study. So patients were treated twice daily for 10 days, followed by PEA twice daily for 80 days. Intensity of chronic pain with intimacy were evaluated at 10, 30, 60, 90 days. The results at the end of treatment, all patients showed significant improvement in chronic pelvic pain with intimacy. There you go, hun. So, I mean, it's not a double-blind placebo-controlled study, but at least it's something.
Yeah, it's something better than what they mostly have been just telling me is that, oh, you're just going to have to deal with it. And it's like, right, you deal with it.
So you can go to the National Library of Medicine, which is pubmed.gov, and just type what I type in. I typed in palmito oil, ethanolamide, endometriosis, and you can print it out and say, hey, what do we got to lose? The cool thing is this treatment did not show any serious side effects, proving particularly suitable for women with pregnancy desire. And that's what they found in the IC study. There were no reported side effects. So I went through a bunch of studies, and the great majority of studies showed no issue. So UMP is what they use. That's not available in the United States. And so, Peoria is kind of the American version of that formula.
Yeah, that's what I have on my Amazon wish list.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got a good study there. So what do you have to lose? I think the study says, hey, why not? At least it's an option worth considering without the side effects of the Elavil. Right? Without the side effects that Elavil could trigger. Okay.
All right, great.
Well, thank you. Good luck at your appointment on Tuesday.
Thanks.
I'm going to be going and seeing my orthopedic surgeon Tuesday myself. So good vibes for both of us. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, hon. Nice talking with you, Patty.
Yep.
All right. Julie Ann, my dear girl, it's so nice to see you. How are you today? You have to unmute there you go.
I'm hanging in there.
You are hanging in there. Hey, man, some days it's just
I'm in bed.
Hour by hour or day by day.
Yes, I'm in bed. I have really bad lower back pain, and my pelvic floor is just all messed up today. So
what are you doing about it?
I took the medication that I was prescribed. I was prescribed a suppository.
That
helps?
Vaginal Valium suppository? Vaginal Valium? Okay.
So that helps with the pain a little bit, but it doesn't do a lot.
Okay. Well,
at this point.
Let's see here. Are you using a heating pad? Heat relaxes muscle. Are you doing your stretches? Are you doing your exercises?
I am doing a lot more exercise indoors.
Okay. But are you doing your pelvic floor exercises?
Yes.
And what are those? What are you doing? Tell us what you're doing.
I am doing like yoga poses to help relieve the stress and the pressure. And I'm doing just a lot of like stretches and stuff.
Okay, but you're not doing Kegels. You're not
No.
pulling in and tightening. Good, good. So maybe you're like me, where there is a why do muscles stay tight, that there's a bony structure issue. And for me, it's scoliosis, and I've got one hip that's higher than the other, which is messing up with my SI joints. My SI joints are screwed up. Do you think you're the same, where there's a bony issue going on that's kind of driving this?
Well, I know that I have, my left leg is shorter than my right leg.
Okay. Okay. So, and did you get that book, Breaking Through Chronic Pelvic Pain, by Dr. Jerome Weiss? The Bible of Bibles for people with pelvic floor dysfunction? Girl.
No, I haven't gotten it.
Girl. All right. This is the one right here. And you know what? If you email me your address, I'm going to send this to you as a Christmas gift.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll email you.
Okay. icnetwork@mac.com. I will put this in the mail to you, and you can have that as a gift for me. The reason why is because it's very important, as they're working on you, that you understand what they're touching and where they're working. And so that you also understand what the stretches and the exercises that you're trying to do are accomplishing. So like for me, let's see, I want to see if I can. Here, hold on a sec. I want to see. I don't know. This is going to be, it's going to be a hard image for you to see here. This is actually what happens if you have one abnormal foot. So in this case, is rolling inward. So this is the normal side, right? And this is the abnormal side. And you can see that the femur goes at an angle, and it ends up stretching the muscles here more than it is on these muscles, right? And so the long-term effect of walking with an ankle turned in, or a foot disorder, or a knee disorder, you know, when you're young, your body's very resilient. You don't necessarily feel wear and tear injuries, but when you're older, you start getting the wear and tear injuries in your late 20s, early 30s, 40s, you know, etc. And I think so what's so interesting, and again, I'm sorry that this is that when my pain on my left side is like, it's like 1.5 inches to the left of my rectum, and it's right at a ligament. And again, so anyway, I want you to be able to visualize where they're working, so that you understand the anatomy a little bit more. All righty. So you got to ride it out, use your heat, keep your body relaxed. You know, if you've got your pain meds, use that. I've been really surprised with my SI how much Tylenol helps. Like, I took a Tylenol before I started this because it was really hurting this morning, and I'm not, it feels tight, but it's not hurting right now. And so you can, you know, do what your doctor gave you to do. And when you can, you need to have a discussion about, you know, with your physical therapist about why you're staying in tension. You know, is there something else structurally going on that is keeping you in tension? Okay.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
I wish I could give you a hug right now. You're gonna get a book hug from me instead. So send me your email, And for anybody watching, there was a lady in a couple of weeks ago who was having trouble. She was reacting to every laundry detergent, and I offered to send her an Echo egg, but she never emailed me her address. And so for people out there, if there was something, if you've been in our Zoom and I offered to send you something and you didn't get it, please send me an email, because sometimes I don't get your emails, or even give me a phone call if I promise to send you something and you didn't get it. Okay. Okay, Julianne, you got this, girl. You have a wonderful couple of days, and let's see how we do on Tuesday. Okay. Oh, you don't have the appointment on Tuesday. It was Joanne who had the appointment on Tuesday. Sorry. Okay, hun. And our last person here is Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hi there.
Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you today?
Well, I'm actually pretty miserable. I had a flare up this morning that started, and I assume it's a pelvic floor flare. But I just had the burning and terrible sensations, I guess, and
Well, now, okay.
just started hitting me, and I can hardly stand to sit or do anything. But then I do my typical. I don't know that I've ever heard you say this, but I have a prescription for Urabel.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
And so I take one of those right away when I feel a flare up coming on, and then I just drink a ton of water with baking soda in it.
Okay.
And that just seems to, sorry about that.
Well,
that seems to really help. And then,
okay, so if that's helping you, then it's not a pelvic floor flare, it's a bladder wall flare. Well, yeah, because if you're alkalinizing your urine, makes the pain get better, then you're working on your bladder. You're not working on your pelvic floor. So what do you think triggered this flare?
I think it was sex intercourse yesterday.
Okay, well,
but I mean,
okay.
A lot of times it's a combination,
Sure.
because it's that and maybe extra sweets that I've been eating. I don't know, because usually I can tell my flares, when they're in, but like I say, I just treat it that way. But I haven't really had a flare up for like a year, close to a year, so that's why I was
okay. So a sex so you're again an anatomical mystery to be solved.
Yeah.
And we got to try to figure it out. Generally, a flare, a pelvic floor flare begins 6 to 8 to 12 to 24 hours after sex for a woman.
Okay.
Because we are so interesting. For a man with IC, with pelvic pain, their worst moment is going to be the moment that they ejaculate, because that's when they have the strongest pelvic floor spasm. Whereas for women, our body goes into a period of, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 38 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours. We go into a series of very subtle, gentle pelvic floor spasms after sex, which I think is our body's way of kind of helping sperm meet egg. And so it's very normal for a woman to go into a flare after sex. So you could be having a pelvic floor flare. And generally what you would do with that is heat and a muscle relaxant. And some women will actually have vaginal Valium suppositories. And so as soon as you start feeling the tension, you can use a vaginal Valium suppository and potentially nip it in the bud.
Yeah, because I actually have alprazolam too, and I usually take that when I feel something coming on.
What is it?
It's alprazolam. Have you heard of that?
No.
I believe it's a muscle relaxant type thing too.
Alprazolam?
Yeah, it's ALPR.
Xanax.
Yeah. Xanax. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And that's going to calm nerves down. That's not necessarily, I mean, it might be a bit of a muscle relaxant, but it's not necessarily going to be a good skeletal muscle relaxant. Your pelvic
Do you have any?
So that's normally.
What do you recommend for that? Yeah.
Flexeril, also known as cyclobenzaprine, or Valium. You could do a vaginal Valium suppository. or you could
Okay.
do baclofen, Baclofen, baclofen.
Okay.
So, you know, the Xanax is primarily for anxiety disorder. And yes, you might feel relaxed when you do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to target exactly what we want it to target, which is,
Right.
you know, so.
Okay.
So, but you also said that you're, you know, it's holidays and you're eating a few more things.
Right.
Like what? What are you cheating on?
Just a few cookies.
Okay.
Too many cookies, I should say. Yeah, chocolate and cookies, I guess.
So it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah,
you
right.
could have some
Okay.
bladder wall irritation from the diet combined with, you know, the pelvic floor.
Right. Okay. Yeah, once it passes the stage where the burning and sensation that, I mean, I'm just relieved of that's why I kind of pump the water and just drink a lot until it passes. I don't know.
Where specifically is the burning?
It's when I go to the bathroom when I.
Okay, but where in your body is the burning?
Well, I'd say right at the vulva.
Okay, so the burning is happening externally. It's not inside your body. The burning is on the skin on the outside.
It's kind of right in the middle. Like it's not right on the outside at the vulva. It's just right as it enters in. I mean, like I say, it's when I urinate, then that's where I can tell it's kind of on the inside as it exits.
So how old are you?
I am 49.
All right, girl. You are our third estrogen chat of our Zoom meeting. You are. Okay. Are you still having periods?
Yes.
Okay, but you are in perimenopause. At the age of 49, you are absolutely in perimenopause. Have you noticed that you've had periods when you've gotten very angry and you don't really know why? Like you
not angry, but I have noticed extra emotional and extra crying.
And and anxiety. Anxiety.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Hello, perimenopause.
That's what I figured too. Yeah.
So, you know, you would think that your estrogen levels would gradually drop. And what happens is they don't. What instead is they go whoop and down and up and down and up and down. And that's what drives the symptoms of perimenopause, the sudden moments of crying, the sudden moments of anxiety, waking up with free-floating anxiety, or as my gynecologist called the rages, where just for no reason you're so angry, you just want to slug the next person you see. And you ask yourself why you're angry, and you have no freaking clue why. And 10 minutes later, it's gone, and it's just an estrogen swing. So that would explain your sensitivity on your vulva is you're starting to get dry.
Okay.
And so have your gynecologist look at your skin, and I would bet you something in our store that you're starting to show dryness on your skin, and that would explain the burning on the outside. And none of what we're talking about would fix that. What would fix that would be a little bit of topical estrogen so that your skin can produce a little bit more mucus, combined with some coconut oil to use every day too, at least one point in time, to give that skin some moisture. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very weird because as we get older, our body might age, but our mind doesn't age usually. And I feel 25. And it hit me when I was 51, when my urethra started screaming and burning. And I went to my doctor after 3 months of urethral pain and burning on the outside, but mostly it was urethral pain. And he goes, Jill. And I'm like, what'd I do? Laying on my back with my knees spread. He's between my legs. Jill. I'm like, what did I do? I'm looking down at him. What? And he kind of glares at me and he goes, didn't you use the estrogen cream I prescribed for you last year? And I'm looking at him going, no. He goes, why? And I go, because I'm 25 years old inside. And the thought of me having any age-related issue is impossible. And he's like, I wouldn't have given it to you. I wouldn't have given it to you if I hadn't seen it starting.
Okay.
So it's just part of life. It's just every woman goes through it, and think of it as reverse puberty.
Oh, yeah, great.
That's kind
Who
of
do
what
you
it was.
recommend the coconut oil by? Any kind of coconut oil or specific kind?
Just get an organic coconut oil.
Okay,
Okay. So
thank you.
you're welcome. All right. So Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
again, your case is you are an anatomical mystery to be solved. I have three guesses for you. Number one, pelvic floor spasms from sex. Number two, a little bit of bladder wall irritation from chocolate, combined with the fact that you are in estrogen atrophy now, or you're getting there. And that means that your bladder might not be able to defend itself as well from the chocolate. And certainly your vulva is not defending itself from the irritants in your urine. So there's, again, I think it's very important that I say that your case is not a scary case. It's everything you have makes total sense to me. Total sense. And so now,
well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a hard time finding a doctor. I live in like the middle of Nebraska, but my gynecologist doesn't seem to really know much about IC.
Yeah.
And so
but this is not IC, hon.
Yeah.
You do not. I always say when you go to a doctor, please don't say you have IC. Don't do that. You have to go in and talk about your symptoms. Doctor, why do I have burning on the outside after sex?
Okay.
That's the relevant question here. And they should go, oh, well, let me look. And they're going to go, oh, look at that. You're starting to get a little dry. How old are you? 49. This might be early or normal, not even early, normal estrogen atrophy.
Right. So just go with that and what they've treated.
This is not, IC is not a thing. IC does not mean you have a bladder disease. IC is a grab bag diagnosis. And you don't have a fever. It doesn't appear that you're fighting any sort of funky infection at this point in time, but you're having a completely normal flare that within a day or two should resolve if it's a normal sex-induced pelvic floor flare. And if you start noticing that your urine is burning you on the outside consistently, then that's a slam dunk estrogen atrophy. No doubt about it. Okay. And maybe using a little bit of coconut oil might help, or V-Magic, but ultimately in the end, it's the topical estrogen that will help your skin produce more mucus. So that's a discussion you have to have with your doctor. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
A big giant hug to you, and a thank you to everybody who participated in our Zoom meeting today. This is a big giant heart from me and a hug from me. Thank you. And I'm going to wish you all a wonderful, happy holidays. And I'm going to shut down the Zoom meeting now and go back to Facebook and YouTube for another 10 minutes or so. And then I got to go make Christmas bread. So thank you, you guys.
Thanks.
Be well. Happy holidays. Alrighty then. The Zoom meeting is now shut down. And now I am coming back to Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to be up till 2 in the morning making bread. I make my grandmother's, great-great-grandmother's Norwegian Christmas bread recipe, and it gets sent to everybody in the family. All right, so we are still on Facebook and we are still on YouTube. Okay, so let's see here. Lisa on YouTube talks about how with COVID, people are not letting you use the restroom. That is a really big problem. Our normal spot for restroom access. Oh, Lisa says I didn't post it. I thought I did. Well, you can always find the link right on our website in the page under the stream. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to do another meeting this week if my leg lets me do it. I did. I swear I did. I swear I did. See, look. There it is. Okay, I will start the Zoom meeting back up. If anybody in YouTube wants to talk real quick on Zoom, I'm happy to do that. Here, let me just do that. Hold on. If I miss somebody, I apologize. Hold on a fetch. IC Network. See, to go into my own Zoom meeting, I actually have to go to my website, go to support, go to the Stream Support Group Meetings link, and the link is right there. Hey man, we don't leave anybody behind. No way, no how. We do not leave anybody behind. All right. The Zoom meeting is back up. So tell you what, quick bio break. I need to pee again. And then if we'll give it 5 minutes. And if anybody on YouTube wants to come in, I would be more than happy to talk to you. Give me 5. Or not 5, 10. You should see me happening. All right, let's see if anybody wanted again on YouTube since on Zoom, because you guys didn't get at the right time. I apologize profusely. All right, Lisa just came in. All right. Hello, Lisa. Can you hear me? How are you doing today?
I am doing okay.
All righty, that's what I like to hear. What can I help you with?
I am having some difficulty, especially with COVID,
okay,
and getting access to use a restroom.
Right.
I'll call the place beforehand and there's no line.
Right.
And then when I would get to the place, there is a line. And I kindly explain that I need to use a restroom really quick.
Yeah.
And I will get dismissed or chuckles or eyes rolled at me. And it's a little frustrating. No, I have one. I actually have one for years and I've been using it.
And it didn't work?
No, it hasn't.
Okay, so then the next step up. So what I held up to the camera, guys, is the IC Network Medic Alert card. It's a restroom access card, and it basically says the holder of this card has a medical condition that requires frequent and urgent restroom access. It is difficult, if not impossible, for this patient to hold it without enduring severe pain and or bladder spasms. Please provide access to this patient. So, granted, this is
it doesn't always work.
So your next step is to get a medic alert bracelet or necklace. So
Okay.
Google Medic Alert bracelet, because once you got the official, I have one that I use if I'm flying somewhere. Once you have that official, because this is, you know, anybody can print this up. I mean, it'd be pretty weird for somebody to make this just for, you know,
and I've actually asked because some stores allow an hour early some days for elderly, and I kind of asked, would it be possible for me to come at that time? And they say absolutely not.
Well, but you know, I mean, COVID has made everything extremely difficult because basically pretty much every restroom is now closed, because anytime somebody uses a restroom, somebody has to go in and clean it and sterilize it. And so I understand why businesses like Starbucks no longer have their restrooms available. And this has made it extremely difficult for those of us who require more frequent restroom access. I don't know how to fix that for you right now. I think that I can see both sides. Stores don't have the ability to go in. I was at the emergency room, and the guy in the next room was a prisoner who had the guards, you know, guarding him, and we were sharing the same bathroom, right? And you know, so I used it. I was fine. He used it. And the guards were standing outside, and then I needed to use it again. And I went to the nursing staff and I said, do you clean it? I mean, he just came from the jail where there's a COVID outbreak. And they went, no, we don't have time to clean it. So I had to share a bathroom with actually, I didn't even go back into that bathroom. I went to a different bathroom in the emergency room. So, you know, you're really,
I've tried to plan out where I go, and it's a little difficult sometimes.
It's hard. I mean, what you could do is just as a fail safe, have let me see if I have it here. If worse comes to worse, man, a travel John in your car is the way to go. So this is what people who fly small airplanes for long periods of time, obviously there's no bathroom, or even Learjet pilots, things like that. What can they do? So the travel John is super, super small. This is how big it is. You can like literally put a 3-pack in your car box, right? Or put one in your thing. And so when you unwrap it, this is what goes against your skin, and it's perfectly sized. You don't leak with this. And there's a powder inside. You can kind of see that there's a powder inside. And so what happens is as soon as liquid hits the powder, it solidifies. So there won't be any leaking, nothing. So if you carry this and you carry a little toilet paper, I mean, just having something like this in your purse, the comfort it gives.
I actually carry installations with me, and that helps typically within like 5 minutes in a bad flare.
Yeah, but I mean, just for restroom access, just knowing you have, and these are like cheap, you know, it's like $7.50 for 3, something like that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And so I think it's just very important for your self-confidence, so you feel more comfortable traveling. I also carried around in my car for years. We used to sell them, these pop-up tents, because I got stuck on the Golden Gate Bridge in a terrible flare, and the traffic was stopped, and I was in agony on that damn bridge. I don't know how I didn't leak. I mean, I don't know how my bladder didn't just let go. And after that, it's like, you know what? If that ever happens again, I'm making money. So I got a pop-up tent that models use. I was just going to whip out my pop-up tent, bring out my 2 packs of these, and just say, all right, $5 for a porta potty use tent.
That's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, so all right, hon. Well, listen, I hope that you have a really wonderful holiday. And I think anyway, at this point in time, at least here in California, we're all locked down. We're not going anywhere anyway.
Exactly.
So and this is where, I mean, you know, COVID has been very interesting because for those of us who are used to being alone at home, it's not difficult because we're used to this. But for people whose days revolve, they're very, you know, they're extroverts rather than introverts. COVID is really hard. I mean, so boy, our lives are all affected, no doubt about that. All right,
Yes.
Lisa, I'm going to say goodbye. I wish you well.
Thank you so much. You too.
Okay. All right. So, guys, I do want to give you an update on our COVID IC research. I think that you will find this very, very interesting. Sean said, what's the name of the bread? It's julekaka. Julekage. Swedish Christmas bread. Or Norwegian Christmas bread. Kathy says, having trouble with B6 deficiency, can't eat enough food to build it up. What would I do? Honey, why don't you try the low acid vitamin? Because there's B6 in the low acid vitamin, but it's balanced. Oh, wait, no, there's not. Hold on. Is there? What did we do? No, I think they took it out. Let's see here. Let me look in one other space. Hold on. You know, Multi-Right, which you can get from Far Laboratories, we used to sell it. I stopped selling it because the pill is really, really big. And Multi-Right was actually my idea. It was the very first low acid vitamin on the market. But it's a giant horse pill, and it was just too big. I'm pretty sure that has B6 in it. And the acidity of the B6 is balanced by the calcium source, which is calcium glycerophosphate, which is pre-leaf. And so you could either take a B6 supplement and take some pre-leaf maybe at the same time, or you could try, because Multi-Right, maybe a half of a Multi-Right, something like that. Yeah, it's a real pickle for people who, you know, are really struggling with vitamins. I came to realize that I was getting really low in B12. So I take a B12 supplement and I take a D3 supplement every night. So let me give you, I want to give you the update on our COVID survey. So we have been for the last 6 months asking patients to share their story with COVID and IC, and it's pretty ugly. I've got 92 patients now in that study, most of whom have been diagnosed with COVID and have gone through COVID, a small percentage who were hospitalized. And basically 75% reported that they flared, and patients who had been in remission for years began to have IC flares again. So I dove into the research to try to understand why that happens. And so in the spring, there was an early study which found active virus in stool, but not in urine. So they believe that the virus could be infectious through contamination with fecal matter. Since then, there have been, I think, 14 studies that have found active virus in the urinary tract, and active infection in the kidneys. So, you know, COVID is not, regardless of what anybody wants to say, this is not a typical flu. COVID not only attacks the lungs, it attacks the circulatory system. And that's why, in fact, the director of security at the White House just had his leg amputated because he had a blood clot in his leg. They just announced that this morning, and I just, like, oh my God, none of those people should have gotten COVID if they'd all been normal and rational and worn a mask. Anyway, this poor man has now lost a leg. And that's because the virus attacks the circulatory system. And in people who have passed away, what they find are blood clots everywhere. I mean, and so this is a real beast. So we have one research study that found active virus in the kidneys. They have now found active virus in the urine of adults with medium to severe infection. And every child tested had active virus in their urine. Every single child tested. There weren't a lot. This is, kind of a new area. So the question is, why would patients flare? And about 25% of the IC patients report extremely severe flares. Here, hold on. So we don't know why. I'm going to put our data together and send it to a medical board and send it to the American Urology Association and the chairman of the IC committee. It is alarming. Again, I have almost 100 patients in that study now. So I guess the question is could COVID be causing a viral infection in the bladder? And we don't know. Only an autopsy study would be able to find that. And I don't think that they've really looked at that. So my point to you is, as an IC patient, protect yourself. I will publish that data. I've got that data in our next magazine. In fact, I can tell it to you now. Let me just get it real quick. How COVID affects IC patients. So let me just give you the early data from that study, that survey that we've been doing. COVID-19 is a devastating viral infection that not only affects the lungs, but also attacks the circulatory system, resulting in devastating blood clots that can occur throughout the body. We also now know that acute kidney injury is found in up to 25% of critically ill patients with COVID-19, though they are not sure why that happens. The kidney itself could have been damaged by the virus entering the tissue, but it might also relate to other conditions that happen in patients who are critically ill or on ventilators. We also know that active virus has been found in urine in 14 studies, estimating that 4.5% of patients could have active virus shed through their urinary tract. Virus was commonly detected in adults with moderate to severe disease and in children with mild disease. Time didn't seem to make a difference, as it was found from day 1 to day 52 after disease onset. Yet the researchers were very reluctant to make a direct connection between the presence of virus and the onset of urinary symptoms. Our survey of more than 90 patients with IC and COVID-19 suggests that COVID-19 can exacerbate IC symptoms even in patients who have been in remission for an extended period of time. 74% reported that their IC symptoms worsened during COVID infection, while 23% reported that their symptoms stayed the same. 10% required hospitalization. Bladder pain increased severely in 34% of patients, with 42% reporting a moderate to slight increase. 24% reported no change in their pain. For some patients, their bladder symptoms appeared suddenly, while for others, it intensified after the first week or two of COVID infection. We see a very similar breakdown for frequency, with 26% reporting that their symptoms became severe and 47% reported a moderate to slight increase in frequency. Some patients reported that they were brought out of remission and are now struggling with IC symptoms again. Several others shared that their normal treatments and/or flare tips, such as rescue installations, were not working as they had before COVID-19. One reason why a patient may flare is that they were required to take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily to help strengthen their immune system. Ascorbic acid is a well-known bladder irritant. Abdominal pressure, bloating, and burning during urination were reported by many patients, but there was also diversity in how their symptoms changed. Here are some reports. Abdominal distension increased too, as did my fatigue. I had been in remission for several decades, but
COVID, I began experiencing IC flares on a weekly basis. Another patient said I'd not had major flares in 7 years. All of a sudden, I'm having multiple moderate flares. Another said I was in remission until I had COVID. Now I'm dealing with flares since I've been sick for months now. Another patient said it feels like the worst flare of my life. Another patient says severe burning and pain, frequent urinating, sometimes up to every 10 minutes, had trouble sitting. The only thing that helped was sitting on a toilet for hours reading a book, took codeine as needed, did not take the pain away, but helped with the burning. Another patient said, my IC flared towards the end of being sick with coronavirus. I was sick for 3 weeks, had a few days where I started to feel better, and then started with an IC flare. It's been 2 weeks, and I've had 3 bladder treatments. Another one said I could barely move, high fever, urine looked like a beaten egg yolk. Higher counts of nitrites, blood and urine, meds not touching the pain. I was miserable. My urethra is still swollen. Another one said my bladder contractions worsened to the point that I cried at the amount of times I had to use a toilet, and my bladder just weakened. Slow flow, urethral pain, flank pain. We were not able to get much information on how long the increased symptoms lasted. For one patient, it's taken 4 months before their IC symptoms began to improve. She wrote, quote, urinary frequency, urgency, and severe pain were all dramatically increased. Vaginal pain and discomfort and swelling also worse, and are all only just now starting to get slightly better 4 months after having COVID. Another wrote, severe flare uncontrolled. My COVID no longer exists, but my flare-ups have not left. And yet, interestingly, 3 people reported that their IC symptoms completely disappeared during COVID. So this is an article that is in our magazine that should be out in the next 2 weeks. So for the IC patient, as well as others who struggle with various illnesses, COVID-19 is a serious, deadly issue. More than 300,000 patients' lives have been lost. The next 5 or 6 months are going to test us, but we will get through this together. Do not travel unnecessarily or mix family units. Wearing a mask shows that you care about your family, your neighbors, and your community. Carry hope in your heart, my friends. All right. So y'all better get damn serious about your face masks, okay? Because this is not looking good for IC patients. And I'm just being brutally honest here. All right. All righty, my friends. Lisa says, Jill, you're so right. None of my friends understand why I'm at peace with staying at home. I'm used to it. And it's amazing research. Thanks. I mean, it's stunning research, what we're seeing so far. I can't wait to share the data with the doctors and see what they have to say. We need more rigorous studies, but please, please take this seriously. All right. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a better COVID-free year. I might even start up on Christmas Day. You know, I'll do my best. But I wish you well, everybody. Peace, joy, love. I'll see you soon. And for those of you who want to watch this, this is recorded on Facebook and YouTube. Give it 20 minutes and you'll be able to listen to it. All right, goodbye, Facebook. See yas. All right, YouTube, my friends. See ya, see ya. Lisa, Donna, Dawn, Lisa, Nicole, Becky, you guys, we're going to get through this together. And Donna Townsend, I love you. Oh my God, my IC sister, you are amazing. Lisa, same thing. I wish you the best. All right, talk to you later.